Beth.
Yeah.
And was very gracious and short and sweet. Her.
Oh, good.
We're live streaming. I'm just going to start the recording. So we are ready when you are, Claire.
Great. Thank you very much. Welcome everyone to the October 26th, 2023 meeting of the Business Affairs and Licensing Committee. My name is Claire Brennan and I am the chair of this committee. Tonight we are joined by District Manager Jesus Perez and Community Coordinator Brian Lafferty. This meeting is called to order at 6:34 p.m. As a reminder, New York State law now requires all community board members who are not able to attend the meeting in person to have their cameras on and their first and last name displayed from the time the meeting is called to order until the time the meeting is adjourned. Members of the public who are attending virtually, you can raise any questions or comments that you have through the Q&A feature of Zoom. Members of the public who are here in person, you can raise any questions that you have by raising your hand. If there is time following the committee's discussion, we will field questions from the public. We need a volunteer to take minutes tonight. If you are able to take minutes, let us know.
I'll do it.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. We will now take attendance by roll call and Brian Lafferty will conduct the roll.
Committee members, I will call your name. When your name is called, please say present. I will announce if there is quorum. Claire Brennan.
I'm here.
Thank you. Paige Judge. I don't see Paige.
She said she was having technical issues, but was trying to get in when I.
Okay. So we'll go back. John Keller.
Present.
Thank you. Jason Littman. Not hearing anything. Anton Wallner. Here. Thank you. Kevin O'Keefe.
Present.
Thank you. Susan Steinberg. Not hearing anything, and I was excused. David Lowenstein. Present. Thank you. Gerald Jones. Not hearing anything. Back to Paige Judge. With 5 of 9 members, we have a quorum.
The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office. And it is displayed on the screen before you. If there's no objection, we will adopt the agenda. Members of the committee, if you object to adopting the agenda, please raise your hand. Yes, Catherine.
Yeah, and Claire, if I may take my full 3 minutes. I object to this consideration and will be making a motion. As I wrote to our chair in the district office today, this agenda did not arrive within the required advance time of 3 days. We received it yesterday after 5:30 p.m. The topic of cannabis, both legal and illegal, is of major concern to our community. As representatives of the community, we should be concerned that we received more than a dozen cannabis applications less than 25 hours before this meeting. This is not only against our bylaws, but does not allow for adequate time for due diligence. For the public, the agenda was posted on social media about 3 hours ago, but it really wasn't because there was no reference to the agenda and there was no link to the agenda. It just said that there is a meeting. There are many reasons why we should not suspend our rules for this one issue. Some have to do with being good community stewards. Some are legal ramifications. Matters regarding state cannabis licenses are now being heard by State Supreme Court Justice Kevin Bryant, including about the only cannabis retail business that this committee has voted to support. Now, 6 months after that support, the court won't let the business open because the court placed an injunction on the business. Now, yesterday, I spent some time with the business's owner, Mike Gant. Now, Mike feels that he was given false hope. His small business has been paying a rent for space he can't open. Tonight, let's do our due diligence by following our own rules. I have started to examine the list of 13 cannabis applications and right away see some red flags. We certainly need more time to understand all of these places more. Here's one red flag example. And again, I just looked at the list. There's a cannabis shop on the list across the street from Stuytown for 271 First Avenue. That's a store building that's physically connected to 3 public schools: the High School for Health Professions and Human Services, the Institute for Collaborative Education for grades 6 to 12, and P226M, and I am wrapping up. P226M is a special education school serving students with moderate to severe disabilities. The students there are of many ages, starting as young as age 3. My motion is to keep our bylaws in place and not attempt to suspend the rules. I'm looking for a second on this.
I second it. I second it.
You hear you, Paige.
Okay, good.
We will vote on this then.
Okay, yeah, the motion is, should I repeat, Brian? Or were you gonna repeat?
Sure, if you would like to.
Again, I just wanted, because it's important, it's clear. I wanted to be clear. My motion is to keep our bylaws in place and not attempt to suspend the rules. It's against our bylaws to drop
I
the
think that's enough.
agenda.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure it's clear. Thank you.
Committee members, I'll call your name. When your name is called, please say when you are.
I'd like to make a comment. So
I think
if
we
we
have to
suspend
vote.
our meeting tonight, what happens?
We came here for nothing and we go home.
We could hold a special meeting with 5 days' notice.
We can discuss other matters.
At a special meeting
Well, that's
or
what
at the
you
next
hear.
meeting?
I mean, if the agenda isn't accepted, the meeting doesn't happen.
Claire, I'm sorry. I was helping a member with tech issues, so I came in the middle of this soliloquy. What is the motion? Is the motion not to adopt the agenda as is, or is the?
To keep our bylaws in place and not attempt to suspend the rules. And that
So
rules
it seems like the motion is to not adopt the agenda as is. If that is the agenda, if that is the motion, that should, for clarity's sake, that should be made as the motion. If that is accepted, then the agenda won't be adopted as is, and then the committee can move on.
You repeat that?
So
Yeah,
if I'm asking a question, am I correct in the objection is to adopting the agenda as is? Is that correct?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying we suspended our rules and I'm looking for a second so that the bylaws stay in place and that the agenda would not be valid because it didn't arrive in time.
So you don't want to adopt the agenda.
Yes, I don't want to adopt the agenda because we haven't had
That's what
time to
I asked
digest.
for.
Thank you.
If someone
If it's more
objects
than-
to adopting the agenda, that was your time to speak. Is that the case, Kevin? You object to adopting the agenda.
For tonight. Not necessarily the agenda for, let's say, 3 days in advance, but for tonight.
I'm not
right now.
coming back here in 3 days, so it's now or never.
That's not, well, it doesn't have to be.
I mean, it is. I'm the chair.
Excuse me.
This is how it is. Excuse me, Paige. I hear you.
Can I
and
have
I'll
a few minutes?
I'll go to you next, but plenty of committees send agendas out in less time than is set on the bylaws.
13 cannabis applications for a new industry that we're just
They
coming up to
came
speed on.
in and we sent them out.
Excuse me.
That this happens all the time, and I'm not
With
making an
cannabis?
exception because I won't come back and like, this is my time here
Okay, well,
now.
I will come back any day.
Good for you. It
I
is what,
think most of us are dedicated.
I mean, I have a life and this is a volunteer position and my
Oh.
schedule's really busy. So that's what we're dealing with right now. We can talk about these now.
Again, it's important to me. I will sleep in this room for 3 days because that's how important it is to me. And I have a life too. I think we all do. Sorry, Paige, I interrupted. I think you were talking. I interrupted you. I apologize.
Excuse me, for one thing, this is the first time I've ever seen this happen. I don't know, Claire, I think I've been on the board long enough, and especially on certain committees, that we would get an agenda a few hours, like a day before, where we could, especially this committee, we have to do research. We all have very busy lives, whether it be at work or other things. So that's not if you can't make the next meeting, that's fine. We do have an assistant, don't you?
Yeah, I
Can't
do.
eat.
I don't know his
So-
schedule.
And what, exec, I don't understand why exec was canceled. I don't think there's more than 5 members on exec. And I was told they were all sick. Myself and someone else actually had registered to go to that meeting to get a heads up to see what was going on at the next meeting and to see what our agendas were. We took our precious time to do that. And then I didn't even get a notice that exec was canceled. So
Sorry to hear that.
that
and
was a
I-
way.
I hear your
Well,
frustration.
I don't,
I don't control.
but
I
the
am
thing, I do not think we look at this agenda tonight until we clarify whether we're going to change the bylaws just because you think that it's okay to send it out 25 hours before and not have the community, which might have some concerns, be able to see the agenda to be there.
Okay, Paige, thank you. Are you making a motion to not adopt the agenda?
You know what?
As is?
Why don't we do this?
Should
Why don't we
wait.
do this? Let me go back to my original motion because, I did have a motion and it should be voted on. My motion is to keep our bylaws in place and not attempt to suspend the rules. And that includes not
That's
accepting
out of order.
that means not accepting this agenda for this particular meeting.
Kevin, I'm sorry, it does seem like the clearest iteration of that motion is you don't want to adopt the agenda. If you don't want to adopt the agenda as stated, you're within your right not to. It can go to a vote. It can go to a vote, and then majority will rule.
Let's drill down a little bit. Robert's rules, as you think states, quote, shall not be suspended except for a definite purpose and by a 2/3 vote. So because of the language of suspension, then it would require 2/3 vote. So I don't want to change the language and take out suspension or suspended because that would not allow the 2/3, which is fair request. 2/3 vote needed for this of how I stated it. And I can add on the what you said about the agenda. I don't have an issue with that. But that's an addendum to what I have stated about the suspension of the rules. I think that's clear. Motion is to keep. Okay. So this the way I stated it needs a 2/3 vote of the board.
The full board.
No, sorry, the board, the committee.
Really?
The committee. Sorry, you're very good. Thank you, Dave.
Okay, just let me understand. A 2/3 vote of the committee members to not suspend
Correct.
the agenda. Right. In other words, this agenda will have to be taken up or a new agenda sometime in the future,
Right.
whether it's in 5 days or at the next
Month.
next month.
And I'm not saying again, I'm opposed to this agenda. I'm opposed to the timeliness or lack of the agenda. So I-
And if
I-
the motion doesn't pass, then the agenda is considered adopted.
No, if that motion doesn't pass, then you guys still need to vote to adopt this agenda. If folks don't want to adopt it, then they don't have to vote to adopt it. And then we see how that vote turns out.
Right.
And
But
if we
it seems like the original, it seems like Kevin's motion is sort of seeking to make some sort of commentary on what may or may not be happening. If the agenda is, if there's an objection to adopting this agenda, it seems like the motion should be to,
If I may, everything I said was factual. It is against the rules, against the bylaws. I'm sorry, did I say something that was opinionated? If I am, I would like to know what that was.
well,
'cause
with all due respect, Kevin, as I mentioned to you before, I'm very happy if the bylaws are going to be taken as gospel and word for word. That has not been the experience that I've had with this board.
Okay, but this is an anomaly. This is cannabis in a new industry with 13 applications with a lot of different addresses dropped on us. Just because of my knowledge, I know that one of them is connected to 3 public schools physically.
Right, so we're gonna go through all of these, and I'm glad that you were
But
able
with
to.
what research?
Let's take a breath.
25 hours of research? I mean, some of us sleep, 8 hours. I take this seriously. I dive in and do due diligence research.
I
I'm not
understand,
winning
and we're
this.
talking about this.
I won't win
tonight.
this.
I don't,
It's not fair to the cannabis applicants. What we did to Michael Gant, you weren't there last night. You could laugh.
I'm not laughing, Kevin.
These are small business people.
I
I
understand.
run 2 small businesses.
They're trying
they
to
have
get
lives
their applications through, and we are.
and be
holding
caught up
them
in court like
They're
this one. And
holding
I
up.
warned this committee that this would go to court and I was laughed at. It's in court now and he can't, 6 months ago. And he's still not open.
Kevin, I'm not certain I understand. You mentioned what we did to Michael Gant. We didn't do anything to Mr. Gant.
You approved
His-
him, gave him
His
false.
his application came before the committee. The committee approved him with the information that they had. If there
I
are
said it was 600 feet within a school.
if there are legal proceedings that are taking place, the board is not responsible for those.
Even though we said it's 500 feet within a school and John Keller said, really, I don't think so. You can play back the video.
I don't see what that has to do. Any troubles that Mr. Gant is having is not because of,
Let's move on then.
It says clearly here that a community board may express an opinion for or against the granting of such registrations, license, or permit application. If an opinion is expressed, it shall be deemed part of the record upon which the Office of Cannabis Management makes the recommendation to the Cannabis Control Board to grant or deny the application. And the board shall respond to such city, town, village, or community board with an explanation of how such opinion was considered in the granting or denial of the application. So we can make our opinion known, for, against, or like we did last time, no opinion. And that will be taken into account by the Office of Cannabis Management. Now, I think from our point of view as supporting the businesses in our district, whether the Cannabis Review Board approves or doesn't approve a license, that's out of our hands, just like the State Liquor Authority. And we can give our opinion, and I'm sure if we said we favorably consider this particular applicant, this will be taken into account, just like the State Liquor Board. Or we don't like this applicant, and the reason is blah, 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 blah. Or no opinion, and that's up to the state liquor.
It's hard to cast an
State's
opinion
cannabis
without the
board.
research.
And
Just so you know, the regulations that have been adopted by OCM, and this is not a community board, and I've said this before, this is OCM. I mean, you take Paula Collins, who's a very noted cannabis attorney in this state, very respected. There was a story in New York Cannabis Insider this morning, and this is her quote: "The result of the lawsuit will cause us to really examine all the regs. You know, when the internet goes out and you need to reset the router, it feels like that. We need to reset the router." And this is somebody who fights for cannabis business people.
I'm sorry, reset the
Router.
router.
She was
Oh,
I want to come back to the original question, and I honestly don't know if you can make a motion that's not to adopt or
I
not
can't.
adopt the agenda. Jesus, do you know
It's in Robert's rules, Aces,
If
about suspension of rules.
any motion besides adopting the agenda can be said right now, or if this should be like in old or new business.
I am not going to present myself as an expert on Robert's rules, but I've also seen that members oftentimes will use Robert's rules when it's convenient for them. What we do know is we need to vote on whether we adopt the agenda or not. If somebody doesn't want to vote to adopt the agenda, that's fine. They don't have to. And then we'll see where we are after that vote.
Vote?
Normally what happens, the agenda is adopted with unanimous consent. Obviously, the agenda is more contentious tonight. So it seems like if there's an objection to adopting this agenda as indicated here, as stated here, then you guys should vote on whether you want to adopt this agenda as it is. You may want to have an idea of what you want it to look like instead of this. Unless everyone just wants to go home, you scrap the agenda and then go home. But
we could do, there is one, Alex is here from Stuytown, shout out, for a liquor license. I would, certainly as a compromise, I don't think that's the right word, but for Midnight Moon, we could say we'll vote on Midnight Moon and call it a night.
Midnight Moon is a cannabis applicant.
Maybe all the members of the public who came and just hear what they're here for, just to honor their attendance.
I'm here on behalf of an applicant for on premises liquor license. His co-principal, Chris Victorivas.
So,
There was a second, so we do need a vote.
but the second was not on adopting the agenda.
No, it's not. So let's go ahead with the motion that I had suggested, since there is a second.
I think we're gonna adopt the agenda or not now. And we're gonna save that for older new business.
Yeah, excuse me, you're saying about adopting the agenda. Okay. If we don't adopt the agenda, we have the right to say why we don't want to object to, and that we want to talk about the one bar or restaurant. So why can't we do that?
Well, no one has made a motion to adopt.
I'll make that a motion.
I second.
To adopt the other 12 and just the one that's dealing with the liquor license until we get clarity on what the state is doing. We don't really, OCM, you also said you were going to have come in. I don't think
They're dealing with 59 of us, people like us. There are 59 boards citywide, and I think there's probably 2 staffers maximum who go around to these meetings. Everyone's asking for these people, and they can't even get us the.
That's fair. Then just wait till they're available.
Don't
Just wait till they're
I'm not
available.
doing my job, Paige, because we did try to get someone from
I
OCM.
didn't say anything about your job. Stop so defensive.
Okay,
So if the agenda, if folks don't, it sounds like a motion was made to adopt this agenda with just agenda item number 1 and not everything else.
Yes,
Is that the motion that was made?
yeah.
Okay. Well, if that is the motion that was made, it might be good to, given the passions surrounding this, to do a roll call vote on this, and then majority will rule. If enough people, if that motion wins, then the motion will just be, whether the agenda tonight will just be the one liquor license application, and all the other cannabis ones will be off the agenda tonight. If it does not, then the agenda will stay as it is.
One
Thank you.
comment. There's a 30-day limit to which we respond.
So there is, for some context, that is true. We can seek an extension. It was already our plan to do so, because even if we had voted on these things tonight, which no one was forcibly going to, make people vote on tonight, we would still need the extension in order to vote on something tonight, pass it at full board, and then give the reso to OCM. With the 60 days, we're going to have to figure out other ways to get them something in time, because then, well, there is a 30 days. There is the possibility of an extension, which we can seek.
And when will the 60 days be taken until?
It'll take us until around the end of November.
And our next meeting is
Near the end of November.
near the end of November.
But that wouldn't be included for the full board meeting, so what we pass here wouldn't get to full board in time. So this, if we don't see them tonight, it's effectively having no comment, which, as Jesus mentioned, like, who knows what would have come from the rest of the meeting anyway.
And Jesus, sorry, this may be to your point. I know ACM has extended some of the application windows recently.
I can't speak to that. If I know.
They have recognized that there is so much to sort out. There was going to be a deadline, and maybe somebody here knows this, that application deadline was extended. That I know for sure. We can probably pull up a few well-cited articles.
I mean,
I'm not sure what.
Jesus said, so
Okay.
that is what it is.
So, unless there are more questions that could clarify what people need to know in order to cast a vote about whether they want the agenda to look like, maybe we should proceed with a vote. A motion was made to have the agenda not look like it is posted right now, but instead to have it be just the one liquor license application and everything else to be off the agenda.
Second,
So a vote in favor.
Yeah, go ahead, Anthony.
just chair's report and old new business.
Yes, that too. But
1:15:16.
Well, we have to ask Paige. She made the motion.
For one.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part of that.
For the
Hello?
For the agenda that you want to adopt, Paige, is it just agenda item 1, or is it also the last 2 items?
I said I wanted to adopt the liquor license and anything else that's supposed to be in there, like old and new business. Anybody has anything else they'd like to bring up? If you have any speakers, I wouldn't object to that. I just don't feel we should, because the community had no insight into this.
We got it. Thank you, Paige.
And to get a special meeting, you called it 5 days notice.
Excuse me,
I'm just okay.
why is it like, don't interrupt me. This is the second time you did it in like 30 seconds, and we heard you. We hear both of you, and now we're voting on adopting the agenda items 1 and the last 2, 15 and 16. And we're doing it by roll call.
And has the motion been seconded?
Yes.
Seconded.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Paige made a motion to have the agenda just be the one liquor license and the chair's report and old and new business, which was seconded by Kevin O'Keefe. So we'll now take a vote on that motion. When your name is called, please answer in favor, opposed, abstain, or not entitled. I'll declare, I'll conduct a vote or roll call and declare the results of the vote. Claire Brennan,
Opposed.
Paige Judge,
In favor.
John Keller,
Opposed.
Jason Littman is not here. Anton Mulder,
Abstain.
abstain. Thank you. Kevin O'Keefe.
I'm in favor.
Thank you. Susan Steinberg is excused. David Lowenstein.
Opposed?
Opposed, thank you. And Gerald Jones is not here. So we have two votes in favor, 2 opposed, and 2 abstentions.
So it does not pass.
So that does not.
Okay, so the agenda is adopted as is.
So the first item is a new application and temporary retail permit on premises license for Trimore Corp. Doing business as Live Radio at 393 Second Avenue. I see the representatives here.
And the co-principal,
Yes.
anywhere you want to stand or sit?
You could join us
Step
up
right up.
here if you
Chris,
want.
one of us.
If you want to join.
I feel like I need to open with a joke, but I'll hold on. My name is Thomas McCallum. This is Christopher Levis, co-principal. Timothy Seymour was one of the boxes here. It's transfer of an on-premises liquor license for a place that was formerly known years ago as McSwiggin's. It's been there for decades. I've known Chris and his partner for 16+ years. They operate an establishment which may be similar to this. For 16 years, violation free in community board number 2. They're presently operating at Hudson and Perry Streets, a place called WXOU, and they have a great reputation. And you know, may hear it, but they honestly have had no violations. It's going to be a tavern, speaks for itself. I did submit the air tables. Everyone has one. I'm going to have a chance to look. I have an extra here. So we're really advocating for it. It's going to be hopefully a community tavern like its success in the West Village. Chris could probably speak to his clients and that.
They're an assess. Yeah.
Continue.
It's their places without a marketplace.
Some people mute.
Yeah.
Who's
Thank you.
I'll continue. Okay, Chris will be the primary manager. They'll have staff. Again, it's a light fare tavern, sandwiches, salads. Any questions you want to address, but you know, I think their record speaks for itself. And this is going to be, you know, a couple of frat guys coming out. We're all senior experience. And I vouch for them, but the application, if you have any questions, 18 bar stools, 1 bench, a couple little counter tables. And we will have live music. There's a staging area and anything you want to address, but I think the air table speaks for itself, but we're here to address any questions.
And may I interject? I'm sorry to introduce myself. I'm the broker who's representing the seller. My name is Alex Picken, and I'm sorry for my attire. I just came from a stress test for cardio. Just so you're aware, it's a very, very small bar. It's about, is it 1,200 square feet?
I think it's less than that.
Less than that, very, very small. And in addition, as part of the transaction, we're paying, the landlord's asked us to have the place soundproof. So that I think is that's a plus also. The current license fee in there has a 4 a.m. He's from Long Island, the seller, and he's doing everything to keep the business going, but this gentleman knows how to do it in a nice manner. If you get my feeling on that, please ask us any questions you need to.
Thank you for joining us. Anton.
How long, what are the hours for the live music? I know how long they're gonna be open.
Our primary focus is not live music. It just so happens that the license has live music attached to it. So we will use it sparingly or as needed, but we will not have a 7-day-a-week live audience, live music and audience. It'll just be as little as 2 or 3 days a week or as little as 10 to 15 days a month. It all depends on availability, but we're not going out aggressively seeking bands to come and play this venue.
And also in the rear, it's just a 1-story extension, so nobody lives above it. And I don't think it would be that late, right, for the live music.
No, we're not a live music
Be late, not a lot.
people. It just so happens that this has it, so we're gonna use it to our benefit. but we don't know. what
Is there any
the extent-
stipulation in the current license for the live music?
I believe it's stamped on a license that it has live music on it,
So
yes.
for like a cutoff at a certain time? or
I don't
just-
know the legality of that. I didn't look that deeply.
I don't know whether, I'm sorry.
But it is on the.
Yes, he has an area with a little stage
Yeah.
and, you know.
Is there like a
guitars,
time that you
whatever.
could provide to us that you might
Correct.
stop the live?
We can
music?
certainly say midnight, 1 o'clock, yeah, absolutely.
It's nice to have a, yeah, like independent place in the neighborhood.
And it's not big enough for full bands. I think it'll be a 3-piece, something at maximum, probably acoustic as opposed to amplified. And there's no equipment there other than a piano, so we're just starting from scratch. So we're gonna build on that and hopefully we'll be able to,
Beautiful piano, it's white.
Yeah.
Thank you for the soundproofing. Very important. We try to connect the businesses with the community, meaning that instead of calling 311, let's say if there is noise, there's actually a number that's posted somewhere externally, publicly, where somebody can call somebody on site or a general manager. Are you willing to make that step?
absolutely.
Yeah, and we've provided Chris's name as manager, and they'll have the posting there.
Yeah,
No problem.
I had the same question because you left that question unanswered on the application on the CB6
Which question
form.
is that? Somebody
That-
contacted?
Who, yeah, whether manager would be on site and how.
Manager will be on site. I answered that. I didn't give any information beyond that, but I have no problem in giving you a phone number or a contact.
Beginning, the person that may not want to walk into the establishment and just be able to call someone to turn down noise, let's say, and they should be able to see
The
that.
entrance. and-
Yeah, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, we did have Christopher Treleavis identified here with his cell phone number.
You're actually.
That's all right. Well, it's bold. But yeah, we'll do a posting at the entrance if someone doesn't want to confront and wants to come in and, you know, and make a call.
And it's on the.
Student has his hand raised.
Can
you go ahead and speak?
Yes, thank you, Brian.
Just out of curiosity, can you confirm what corporate entity you guys are buying this from?
The entity we're buying from, we're in contract now, is BAM, BAMM Entertainment Corp. And I think they hold themselves out as the Vault, but I haven't.
Yeah, that's a DBA.
It seems to be DBA, that it's been in some of our paperwork.
Thank you. No, I was just making sure that it coincides with what we've got in our records. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't have any questions. Anyone can go in.
Yeah, motion of no objection for this application.
I second that.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you all very much.
Thank you all very much for your time.
Actually, sorry, if you don't mind just saying, we go through the resolution and make sure that everything that we're saying reflects what you heard as well. So let's just, if anyone objects, we can just do this by hand because it's late already. If anyone objects to the adopting this resolution, raise your hand. No, and seeing no hands, we'll move on to drafting the resolution of no objection.
Did you put in there what we had asked for with the placard, or is that?
Yeah. So resolution of no objection. Those are your names. And so you are American bar with a small
Neighborhood pub.
okay, neighborhood pub.
Yep.
With a small
Like their menu, they'll be prepared soups, not soups, salads and sandwiches.
neighborhood with light fare menu.
Yeah.
And I just want to say something about like the stage, yeah. You could just say live and, yeah.
Occasional live music.
Occasional, yeah.
It's just preserving a right in the event they want to have it, but it's not a music venue by any means.
Right, I think that's clear with like starting with neighborhood. And so these are the hours of operation that you're looking to.
Same as the current.
Same as the current, I believe, yes.
Yeah, it's been there for like.
Okay, so
The other
Whereas,
thing also is that the live music part of it is in the back of the business, not the front of the business. So there's a designated small area in the back of the building, so
I don't,
it will not be amplified to the street or to the
Yeah.
front.
we're not worried. These are just like questions that we go through with everyone, so. We can add that. Whereas the establishment, agreed to. Stop live music by 1 AM. And then another one, the establishment has agreed to post a sign.
Contact information, sign for, thanks, contact information.
Mhm. Visible sign. Or a sign visible. On the street.
One more, it's with the, when you touch upon the line, the recorded music. The
Yeah.
hours of operation.
That's, okay. So no members of the community had any comments for or against. You didn't have. Mhm.
Yeah, I'm for it. I don't know.
So therefore be it resolved, CB6 has no objection. We can take a vote by roll. Right. Yeah, that's a good point. No one said no. I think we were supposed to do that after we wrote it. The vote was. Yeah, it was motion seconded. And then we voted on the motion.
Yeah, the vote was supposed to come after the written resolution, so it might be good just for, procedural sake, just to sort of, since you guys just do it unanimous consent anyway, just to kind of go through that motion one more time.
Sounds good. So let's just go through the roll call in this instance quickly.
Okay, so a motion has been made and seconded on this resolution of no objection. For a new on-premises license with a temporary permit for Trimore Court doing business with live radio and 393 Second Avenue. We'll do a roll call vote. When your name is called, please answer in favor, opposed, abstained, or not entitled. I'll conduct a vote by roll call. Declare the result of the vote. Claire Brennan.
In favor.
Thank you. Paige Judge. Paige, I think you're on.
Brian muted you, Paige.
It's a thumbs up. Did she do that? I think so.
Two thumbs.
I read her lips, she said in favor.
Okay, you're unmuted, Paige.
Yes, thank you. I'm in favor.
Okay, thank you. John Keller.
In favor.
Thank you. Jason Littman is not here. Anton Mulder.
In favor.
Thank you. Kevin O'Keefe.
I'm in favor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Susan Steinberg is not here. David Lowenstein.
In favor.
Thank you. And Gerald Jones is not here. So with 6 votes in favor, the motion passes.
Thank you very much. Good luck going
Thank
forward.
you.
Good
Thank
luck.
you.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Thank you for having the drums out.
We'll see you back in. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you. Yeah, well, we are. Yeah, you guys can get.
Okay, so now we're on to item 2 of the agenda. And I want to preface these items as obviously there are a lot of them and they came to us late. And I think for time's sake, we can go through them and we have the locations pulled up, and if any we think should be a resolution, not support a resolution, we could write that one, but I think for the others, it's really like not worth our time right now to go through positive resolutions, because it seems that OCM is hoping to grant licenses that they see as appropriate and within their parameters. So Kevin?
Is this all new business? I thought we waived all this part of the agenda.
No, we didn't. That didn't pass.
What's that?
It didn't pass. We adopted the agenda.
We adopted could we read back exactly what, because we had two motions on the floor.
We adopted the agenda as stated. Paige put up a motion to adopt the agenda with just 3 items. And unfortunately, that didn't pass.
Okay.
So now we have to.
How about the other motion that I put on the floor?
That comes up in older new business.
Even though we're addressing what was in my
That-
motion.
That's just a comment on the bylaws and the operation of the meeting. So that doesn't have any effect on the agenda that we have, so. So the second agenda item is a cannabis retail dispensary license for Jungle Kingdom Flower Company, doing business as Jungle Kingdom Flower at 459 Lexington Avenue. So are there any comments about this location?
Are there any representatives?
No, there's, I mean, the timing, they just.
You know, the issue comes down to,
You know, I think John's.
on all of these. We don't have a form like they
Have I
have.
been recognized?
Yeah,
Yes,
Well,
John, go.
yeah,
Claire
sorry, Anthony,
recognized you.
I did see John's hand up, so I'm just gonna go to him.
Okay.
And then we'll come. What was that?
Do I have the floor?
John has the
John's
floor,
floor,
and then
okay.
you'll be next. John?
Okay, I'm gonna, there are 14 of these. And I'm gonna just say this once. I've made it very clear that my opposition is firmly to illegal cannabis shops. And at the Youth and Education meeting, committee meeting this week, I announced that the chair and the board office would be sending the resolution that the board passed and 3 committees passed unanimously, asking the Office of Cannabis Management to give us the report that we asked for. So we've reached out to them because I believe that's the best way to engage them, to challenge them to do what we asked. and to give the report that essentially the governor gave 6 days later. So that's the first point, is that we have, Claire and I have attempted to engage in different ways, the OCM, and we're going to do it in the name of the board based on the resolution that was passed. So then, just as my second point would be, and my opposition to illegal shops is clear, but I firmly believe that the only way to get rid of illegal shops is to have legal shops, and that we need to engage with the OCM on that effort, because right now the illegal shops are 99% of the market and the legal shops are 1%. And you don't need a PhD in business strategy to know that that is an untenable position. So as a point of my final point would be to ask a point of order, and that is, are all of these applications that have been sent to us by the Office of Cannabis Management with their approval?
Jesus.
No, these, unlike some of the applications that were with the community boards earlier in the year and later last year, these are not necessarily faits accomplis.
So how did they get here?
Well, I was called on.
No, excuse me. Kevin, I had my hand up earlier and let you speak, and I'm speaking now.
The applicants are required to notify municipalities 30 days before filing an application. The forms came in from the applicants themselves. That is how we got them.
Okay, thank you. You answered my question.
If you look at the applications, community board has stamped the date on them. The applications OCM opened did not open until October 4th. There are multiple ones that came into the community board office before that date. So clearly they didn't go to OCM before OCM even opened the application window.
So part of that is that there's a lot of confusion on all sides. Some of these folks were wandering into our office with these forms as a complete surprise to us. They didn't seem to know what was going on, and we are still trying to get answers from OCM. I know that Kevin, you expressed some frustration last month's meeting at the rollout still left a lot to be desired, to put it mildly. And I would have to agree. We are operating the best we can. Yes, feeling around a little bit in the dark, but we're operating the best we can. Some of these applicants were under the impression that it was sort of a race to get them in, and that it was sort of almost first come, first served. We have never been told any of that by OCM. We accepted them and we stamped them just as we thought we should. We were not going to chase them away. But until we get some sort of indication from OCM that anything that was submitted before the 4th is invalid, then we've handed them over to all of you. I know that we're trying to get OCM to come, as Claire mentioned before. We're not the only community board in the city. It might be worthwhile for the committee to start putting together a running document or list of specific questions that it may have. If this is one of those questions, the office is happy to try and get answers to those. I myself am trying to find the most efficient and orderly way to get answers, because it's nerve-wracking to navigate a process when it does feel like we're feeling around in the dark. But so the answer is I don't know, and neither did the applicants, and we've not gotten clarity from OCM on that. But if you'll take a suggestion from me, if you guys can start putting together, or we'll do it for you, if you'll just call the questions out, a list of questions, specific questions that you have, it might be easier to approach OCM with specific questions than just broad requests to appear at our meetings.
So in the meanwhile, all these applicants, at least 12 or 13 here, and we don't know how many other community boards are all going to be left in the air because of this, how should I say, untenuous rollout by the Office of Cannabis Management. In effect, we don't have any role at this point in time.
Look, the cannabis OCM has tried to, in dribs and drabs, especially lately when now that there are news articles out saying how unimpressive this rollout was and how confused especially community boards are. Unfortunately, a lot of that information is not useful, but what I can gather from my own impression is that OCM is going to try and approve as many of these licenses as it can. If it finds that these applicants are in conformity with the law, then it will try to approve them. That is why Claire had mentioned that, it may not be worth your while to pass resolutions of no objection or of support for these sorts of things. However, it does seem like if you have objections about specific locations, about the unsuitability of those locations, it may be good to raise your objections now. If you're not comfortable doing it now, we'll do it in the November meeting. We'll have we'll have to get creative about how we issue the reso, but speak about what objections you may have to the sites, because if they listen to anything, it's going to be about that, about the suitability of the site, about the likelihood for quality of life concerns, bad neighbor problems, things like that. That is what it seems like OCM wants to hear about. What will happen is our resolution will be put in their file, and if it eventually goes to up for review at the state level, then that will be one of many things that will be up for consideration.
You have a follow-up or something new?
2 comments. One, if we stick to what the OCM has promulgated in terms of distances from other cannabis retailers, schools, community locations, houses of worship, none of these can be approved, be given our stamp of approval, because every one of them has a problem with distance. And until and unless the Office of Cannabis Management addresses this issue, now, this is not an issue upstate New York. It's not an issue in small places around the state, but it is an issue here in the city of New York, particularly in Manhattan. And I know there are a number of cannabis lawyers that have pointed this out, and they've even made maps of where schools are. And here's 500 feet, here's 200 feet from a place. We couldn't even consider this.
And you have to have a dispensary, it can't be within 1,000 feet of another dispensary.
That's right, yeah, just said, yeah.
Yeah, no, I just wanted, okay. Yeah.
Right, enough. I'd like to propose a motion
I think we're gonna do.
that we table these until next month's meeting. That'll give us a chance to really review them from the non-location point of view, but from the community impact point of view, one. And 2, perhaps there might be in the next 30 days, some clarity from the Office of Cannabis Management, which all the community boards are looking for, to be able to say, okay, we're not going to worry about distance because that's been taken care of by real regulations or whatever. And then we can just take a look at these as their impact on the community.
So there's a motion, but there are people who have already had their hands up.
But my motion is just table this till next month. And the reason I'm saying this motion is because of.
So is there a second to Anton's motion?
I'll second. My motion.
So we'll take a vote on that motion. And if it passes, we table these till next month. We'll take a vote on this motion, and if it passes, then we'll table all of the cannabis applicants until next month.
Right.
Claire, can I make one comment? I have had my hand up. I am in favor of this with the understanding that we will have time to put in.
John, stop. I know you've had your hand up. We're just trying to figure this out now because Kevin did have his hand up before you and before the motion was put up, so.
Fair enough.
I think we have to vote on the motion
Right.
to table these. Including the comments that people had about fees that were going to come after the motion was made. So
You
let's
second.
take a vote because Kevin seconded.
The motion.
And I also just want to add, like, the timing, this might just go through as is, like, OCM isn't waiting for us to pass a motion
No.
or to do anything, so all of these might already be approved by them next month. That's something that I'm just trying to make clear to this committee, and so be it, but that is the reality of doing this. Okay, call on you. Let's vote.
Okay, so a motion has been made and seconded, by Anton, seconded by Kevin, to table the cannabis applications. We'll now take a vote by roll call. When your name is called, please answer in favor, opposed, abstained, or not entitled. Declare the results of the vote. Claire Brennan,
Opposed.
thank you. Paige Judge,
In favor.
thank you. John Keller,
Opposed.
thank you. Jason Littman is not here. Anton Wallner,
In favor.
thank you. Kevin O'Keefe,
I'm in favor.
thank you. David Lowenstein,
Opposed.
thank you. With 3 votes in favor and 3 opposed, the motion fails.
So now this is our opportunity to say we don't want to pass these applicants or resolve for them if that's what we want to do. But since we're back to where we just were, Kevin.
I feel gonna make a comment on, and there's some good points all around, and kind of picking up on Anton's point. We may get some clarity on Monday. State Senator Jerry Cooney happens to be the head of the subcommittee on cannabis. On Monday, he will hold a committee meeting that includes his committee's first ever public hearing. I plan to be there. As this committee knows, I have always been in support of safe and legal cannabis. And before making any yay or nay votes on any of these applications, I do want to hear what comes out of that meeting. There may be some findings. So that's one other reason I do want to wait till past Monday.
John has his
Yeah.
hand raised.
John,
Just the point I was going to make earlier that whatever we decide, I'd like to make sure we all have the right to put up questions and issues related to specific sites. That was the only point I was going to make earlier, but I didn't know another hand had been up before mine in the room.
Couple things. One, I apologize for interrupting you. It was not my intention. So I apologize. Sorry.
It's okay, Kevin. We're cool on that.
I was talking to Claire, but to you too, John, if you feel I interrupted you with my hand up.
I didn't think you did, but since you were apologizing, I didn't want to leave it. That's what Jerry Seinfeld said. That's a big enchilada hanging out there. So I thought I would accept it. Okay.
I respect Claire as chair, and I'd interrupted you purposely then, and I just wanted to make that for the record. John, you had mentioned that you want legal shops to open to combat illegal shops. I think we should treat these as 2 separate issues. There are now legal shops around, I should say, there are now illicit shops around legal shops. Go down to even where the Housing Works, the very first one that opened, you'll find them. And as a friend of mine said today, you see knockoff handbags being sold illegally all around the city. This has happened even though there are legal handbag stores. Should we open more legal handbag stores? So I think it's two separate issues. And that's all.
Okay, we're going back to agenda item 2 now. Are there any questions, on the Airtable? There are notes that the board office went through and was able to share kind of some ideas that they had that might be concerning. Anton, it seems that you.
Well, one of my issues here is that there are no representatives. No representatives of any of these shops here.
Or OCM. Nope.
Or OCM. That's one of the reasons they want tables. That's, at least when we have our liquor license reviews, we have.
From a business standpoint, you would think you want first mover status, and you're not even here to try your first mover advantage. It's just against any business sense I have.
Folks, let me, if I may, Claire, first. Yes, normally with liquor license applicants, that would be the way we do it. One thing, I've been sick for the past 2 weeks, and that slowed a lot of things off. So I don't want people walking away from this meeting thinking that it's Claire's fault that we're in the situation that we're in right now. It is not at all. I take full responsibility for it. This happens at committees for various reasons, sometimes related to the chair, sometimes not, sometimes related to the office. So in this case, it's one of the cases where it's the office. So I got COVID. It probably doesn't help that I haven't been resting as much as I should, but until my immune system becomes stronger, it is what it is. That said, if you guys want to consider some of these next time, all right. It might be good to maybe tell me which ones you want to bring in. Do you want to bring all of these in? Do you guys want to sit here for, I don't know how long that would take to get through all of them. I need to know what you guys are interested in. Given that the SLA probably listens to us a little bit more than OCM seems to want to, maybe that should weigh into whether it's worth hearing all of them. For example, if there are some sites that are non-starters right away, maybe you don't bother bringing them in. All of this stuff is uncharted territory. There is no process for this. OCM is not going to give us a process. There is no process. And what's happening is what's going to happen with the SLA process. Every single board is going to have their own process. So, as you guys are making your way through these, think about things like that. Like, do you want to hear from them? Or are there some sites that are non-starters? It might be good to reserve some time at this meeting to finally consider Claire's draft of the questionnaire. Because right now, a lot of these applicants are asking, do you have a questionnaire for me to fill out? We don't, because this committee hasn't really reached a consensus on what they want it to look like. So it's right now, probably some of these sort of basic fundamental issues of process need to start to be sorted out, because the office is not going to be able to, if I get sick again or something, I could have given it to maybe Brian, but there's no process. I can't hand him over and say, create a process for us. While I'm here coughing my lungs out. So, there's a perfect storm of stuff that is happening. And I think it's better if we all remain cool and calm and productive and constructive, so that we can move forward. Some of these questions we may not have answers to. So it's good to maybe make a list so that we know exactly what it is we're trying to find answers to. Sorry.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And we're sorry that we've run you down and made you sick. And
well, like I said, Claire, if COVID takes me out, at least my troubles will be over. So
don't say that.
It's not.
To Jesus's point, I think there are a few applications that some of us feel strongly about the school application that we should talk about now and get through it, so that we can reduce the number of applications. There's a delivery buds that has 3 applications in a radius of probably 20 blocks. I'm not sure why we would approve someone to have 3. So just as an example, maybe we work through the ones that we feel strongly about tonight and table the ones that we're unsure of, just to reduce the workload for the next meeting.
Right, so I guess that would be going through the agenda, and if there are no comments, then we move to the next item. And then if the next item is like controversial, or we have more questions, or want to do a little more research, then we make a motion to table that to the next month and try to get a representative here, take our time on our own to do more research, with the caveat that it might just go through, or, you know, in a month's time, who knows what will happen. But I think that makes sense. And so that brings us back to number 2, which is,
It's a commercial location. I don't see any red flags off the top of my head.
You know, I think 450, this particular one, for this going to be in that Lex newsstand, that's 459 there. It is commercial.
It's catty corner from the post office. It's as Grand Central as you can get, really.
No question. It seems like already like a smoke shop. Even though.
Yeah.
Common and smoke in a lot of.
The only things I would question is, I would question the same thing that we have, that we proposed questionnaire, you know, the hours of operation, how do you manage sidewalk traffic, security, contact people, things like that. Other than that, I mean, it is, right.
It's, Paige had made a point, it's, I can't remember what it was, that the licensing committee, whatever it was called at a certain time, you would actually walk the block and look, because that's part of my deal, as I walk and see, and there might be something that, hey, there just was something that went up that is in contradiction. I think we just need more time, at least, you know, it's the point, like 3, 4, or 5 days. Is that what you said, Paige, that you used to walk the blocks and actually look around and see if it was close to anything?
The committee, not every single one of us, but we used to walk around, see what was around the actual bar or restaurant. Most of us live in the neighborhood, so we're very cognizant of what goes on. And for this outdoor cafes, Frank Scala was hysterical. He used to use his shoe side to count the distance between the illegal amount that they should have. But we all did our homework. Apparently now people are not doing as much as we used to. We should really know where these things are going. This is one location that I know I would not have no objection, because it's in a commercial area and there's no schools around there. There's no churches, there's no hospitals. I object to wherever the schools, or like anything with children. And that one last month, right next to a bar, I thought that was the most ridiculous one that we were looking at.
Thank you, Paige and Kevin, for that additional context. That sounds like it might have been before Google Maps and the type of technology existed, but we all live in the district or have a work here, whatever interest allowed us to be appointed to the board. So I think going back to the plan, if we want to table this one and bring it in, we can do that, but it sounds like there's not issues at this point. And I want to go back to what Jesus was saying, like there were 13 applicants this month, which was shocking. And it sounds like they're just going to keep coming, flooding in. So if we want to make next month a mega agenda, we can, but if we want to be selective about which licenses we push and take a little more time, we can skip this one and get to ones that there are things that we already know and are very obvious. So if there's no motions for
No objection.
Second.
That sounds good, and we'll take a vote.
Okay, a motion of no objection to the cannabis retail dispensary license for Jungle Kingdom Flower Company doing business as Jungle Kingdom Flower at 459 Lexington Avenue. Has been made by Paige and seconded
Anton.
by Anton. Thank you. So we'll take a vote by roll call. When your name is called, please answer in favor, opposed, abstain, or not entitled. And I'll declare the result. Claire Brennan,
In favor.
Paige Judge.
In favor.
Thank you. John Keller.
In favor.
Folks, I'm sorry to interrupt, but as is oftentimes custom with this committee, I did mock up some resolutions. Some of this stuff may not apply because we don't have the applicants here. But I mean, is this something you guys want to work on before you actually vote on something? Or is someone going to take this home and write some sort of reso?
I think for something like this, where we could draft the reso here for this one together, or we could start with the template that I didn't realize that you had a template. So I think
it's a little unorthodox, but I'll be perfectly honest. Unless you guys really, really want to no object to this, I might just sort of stay silent for right now. And maybe, again, OCM doesn't need any more encouragement to approve these licenses if that's what they're going to do. It might be more worthwhile to spend your time on the ones you actually have issues with. But again, the choice to pass a reso is up to you, not to me.
We usually with liquor licenses, if somebody doesn't show up, we pass and go to the next applicant who is in the room. It seems like we're moving on and saying yes to something. Now the card members that are now, some of them have gotten licenses. I think it's up to 27 in the state. They had to prove that they had a profitable business for 2 years. We don't know anything about these applicants except for what was put on paper. And even that probably needs to be vetted possibly. It just seems to me that we're treating this with more kid gloves than we do liquor licenses. Is that fair assessment? We don't have any here.
Can I make a motion to table this one and move to the next one?
So there was already a motion and a second that we have to vote on. And we were in the middle of the voting. So I think people can vote how they want here on this one, and then we'll move to the next agenda item. But what Jesus said about the resolution is an interesting point. And if anyone, I voted and Paige voted.
Claire,
Yeah.
is there any way that I can take that back? since what Jesus said makes a lot of sense.
I'm not an expert on Robert's rules.
It would be our bylaws, it wouldn't be.
I
Well-
think I'm not an expert either, but I think, look, this process is really strange. And as I alluded to before, it's probably good to come at this with an attitude of grace. So if I think it'll be a more pleasant experience for everyone. Unless the chair has an objection, if Paige wants to withdraw her motion, and then we can move on to something else. I can, when I find some time, I can go into Robert's rules and find out, research the proper way to do this. But unless you guys want to just vote it down, you can just vote it down and it'll be done and then you move on. But if you want to just sort of, okay, she takes it back and move on.
No backseat Page. I'm just kidding.
No takes backsies.
I feel like we haven't finished voting. So unless we actually finish.
Yes,
voting,
if you finish the vote, you can.
Right.
Oh,
Thank you.
yes. So you're saying that if we had finished the vote, she can't take it
We have
back?
to ask Paige if she would.
She can withdraw.
She can change her mind.
Right. Okay. And I, as the chair, accept that withdrawal of the motion that Paige made.
Did she withdraw it?
Okay, so.
Right.
She just take it, you're right. She should say.
She just confirmed that she withdrew.
Paige, you
Paige.
wanted to withdraw your motion of no objection.
This might be the only one that you're getting a favorable out of me, so, okay, I do want to withdraw.
Okay, so that being said, there's no motions here. So we can move on to number 3, which is a cannabis retail dispensary license for Take and Toke Herbal Healing Solutions, Inc., which is doing business as TBD at 243 East 53rd Street. Are there any comments or questions or motions? There's no.
Yeah, I'd say probably.
This block's a little more mixed use, a lot of restaurants,
Yeah.
a lot of apartments.
Restaurant row all the way down 53rd Street.
Side street, this versus that.
So
No churches, no schools that I know.
So I don't see any glaring issues or questions or comments here, so we can move on. Number 4, which is a cannabis retail dispensary license for 10082 TH LLC, doing business as TBD at 1008 2nd Avenue.
I do have a question here. 1008, that's the old Mangiore restaurant, which is huge. And then the same people have 1004 as the next application.
Which is probably the corner.
Well, except this one is already occupied by a burger place.
How old was this?
I think they closed.
Yeah.
They closed already?
There's been several tenants.
Oh, okay.
This one was a peculiar because I went to the city's zoning and land use map site. And it almost seems like these two addresses are in fact the same site. I'd have to dig into it a little bit more, but if that is the case, then that would run afoul of this. No two dispensaries can be within 1,000 feet of each other. And I would imagine this would apply here. So if there's an objection to be raised, it seems like the most obvious one is that there's a potential here for two sites to be, Brian is pulling it up, Zola 1008, and it comes up in the city's record as 1004. So that's that's something that needs to be sorted out, but it does seem to run afoul of that, or potentially to. Again, some of the stuff that I'm learning is from applicants that come by and tell me what OCM is telling them. Some of them seem to suggest that this is sort of a first come, first serve, or some sort of lottery system, or some people will get their license and others will not, at least not during this round. And so it could be that if one of them is successful in getting the license, then the other is kind of stuck out, because then there's already an establishment there. But it may be worth considering 1008 Second Avenue and 1004 Second Avenue together, because as far as I can tell, if it's not the same exact zoning lot, it is very nearly.
Okay, so that raises an issue. Let's say we consider this all one business. That's a huge shop. I've been in Mangiare only once, food was not so good. And that, I think, would have an impact, a big impact on community's quality of life. I've always thought that dispensary, at a small dispensary, you don't need, it looks like 60 or 70 feet of frontage.
Something else on there. Yeah, exactly. There is, I'm sorry to burst bubble here, and it looks like the crow flies, so maybe it's okay with everybody, but the Children's Academy, it's for kids with speech and language challenges from kindergarten through 12th grade. That is within 500 feet. But again, that's as the crow flies. If you pull up Children's Academy, you'll see exactly where it is. And that's 317 East 50th. So again, if you walk it, it would probably be longer than that, but just deal.
That'd be down there.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
OCM's response to that may be, we don't do it as the crow flies, but if a resolution comes out of this particular establishment, there's nothing to stop you, if the committee agrees, to at least make mention of it. I mean, it'll go into their file, and maybe it will, that fact will impress upon the people who are voting on this at OCM, or maybe not.
I think those are two good points that you all brought up. So as we discussed, there's an option here.
If we write a resolution out, let's say no objection, then we put our whereas the establishment will not be located within 500 feet of a school, or 1,000 feet of another applicant, or 200 feet of and that implies all the OCM regulations thereof, then that would be favorable.
Well, the regulations are different than the law that passed in 2021. That's some of the stuff that's being sorted out by the court. So
Yeah.
a regulation may be considered unconstitutional because the state is now saying it doesn't just have to be within 500 feet. It has to be on the
But
same.
Just to answer your question, like
Oh, there
we
we go.
can,
Sorry to complicate.
right? In any resolution that we pass, that we could say we would rather do it as the crow flies, if that as a committee is what we want. So we can include that where it seems that that's not how OCM is measuring it, but we can also say and not have to list all of OCM's speculations, or, we could add our own to it, and we can also kind of blanket say that we trust that this is appropriate based on OCM. guidelines.
It seems to me that OCM has written a lot of these regulations to cater to smaller municipalities, smaller governmental entities in the state, and has not taken into consideration concentrations of population in New York, Baltimore.
Might be a little
wherever.
off topic though, just thinking about like.
There are
this
certain
applicant.
regulations, I went through the regulations and talks about towns smaller than 20,000
And,
and
sorry.
towns larger than 20,000.
That kind of is like a general comment, but I do like. I can't make any motion, but I do see the size as an issue. I'm less concerned about flying birds, but I think that it's a huge space and that's something that us as a board can consider, and that's in front of us, and those are facts. You know, this isn't something that we're trying to guess on, like their hours if they're not here like that. This is something that's obvious and we might want to question the applicant, so we could reject this based on its size, or we could also table this item if we want and hope that they come to our next meeting.
To a previous point, could we say that we don't feel comfortable passing things if you don't at least have a representative that's there to answer questions? I'm not talking about OCM, well, that'd be nice too, but just like liquor license, you know, have somebody that shows up even virtually, they just have to show up.
Right, so we can table
We're
this.
gonna ask these questions, why
Yeah, I mean.
too contiguous, why so large?
Mhm.
Okay. Do you know you're within 500 feet of the school? I don't know, things like that.
Or 1,000 feet with another dispensary that's your own. You know, that's not the case.
Right, so for this one,
Hmm.
is there a motion to table this to next month, this agenda item?
I make a motion to table this till next month. We can get the principals in and we can discuss this more. I'm not
Second.
this point of view.
And John seconded, so let's vote on it and move along.
Okay. So a motion has been made by Anton to table 1008 Second Avenue, and would that also be 1004 Second
Yes.
Avenue together? John has seconded that motion. So we'll now take a vote by roll call. When your name is called, please answer in favor, opposed, abstain, or not entitled. I'll declare the results of the vote. Claire Brennan,
In favor.
thank you. Paige Judge,
In favor.
thank you. John Keller,
In favor.
thank you. Jason Littman is not here. Anton Mulder,
In favor.
thank you. Kevin O'Keefe.
Table, favor.
Susan Steinberg is not here. David Lowenstein.
In favor.
Thank you. And Gerald Jones is not here. So we have 6 votes in favor. The motion passes.
Okay, excuse me. So that was actually agenda item 5 as well. So we'll move on to 6, which is a cannabis retail dispensary license for Delivery Buds LLC, doing business as Delivery Buds at 555 Second Avenue.
We have 3 applications from the same entity, Delivery Buds. 555 Second Avenue, 957 Second Avenue, 212 East 34th Street. I have some questions about this. It's again, same thing I had with the prior one. The one at 555 Second Avenue is Neil Teodoro Specialty Food Space. It is huge. It's a supermarket.
Yeah.
Again, I go to the same point. How will this affect the community? And it's one avenue away from another applicant at 30th Street. I can't read my handwriting.
Well, we do know that 201 East 30th is within about 580 feet from that, so that's well within 1,000. Is that the one?
Yeah,
That's Michael Gann's place, and I mean, he doesn't have a license, but if this gets it first, Mike's gonna be,
out of business.
yeah.
Although there was something in the law that said, if there was a prior business and the Office of Cannabis Management approves the new business, even though it's within 1,000 feet of an old business, it's okay. I did remember reading that someplace.
To me again, sorry, I didn't.
In other words, the place on 30th Street is there, it's operating. If the Cannabis Review Board approves another one within 1,000 feet, it's their call.
On all cases?
I'm not a lawyer, but I saw some.
That probably helps.
I saw something, in my review, and there are 700 pages of this stuff, right?
Okay.
Yeah, anyway, that's the consideration that I would ask Delivery Buds on that particular one.
And if I could, I don't know if Brian could pull up deliverybuds.us, their website. This is just a minor thing, but I think if you look at their homepage, you'll have to click that you're 21 and over, hopefully you are. And then they only have one featured photo on the page, and that's somebody illegally driving on the sidewalk.
Easy.
Buds, BDZ.us. Yes. Okay, if we could scroll, yeah, there you go. Let's ride on the sidewalk. Sure, why not?
Yeah. So,
And have a cannabis leaf, which I don't think you could advertise with a cannabis leaf on, anyway.
and we're talking about people getting hurt from these delivery people on sidewalks.
That's their feature photo.
I mean, it's illegal,
I'm
so.
skeptical of these guys. I think to Jesus's point, this is like a lottery system and they're trying to buy as many tickets as they can right now. And they're probably signing leases that are contingent on getting licensed. So they're going to try to sign as many leases as they can, get as many applications before us as they can.
I mean, these
See
people
what-
look like
see what
they're well
sticks.
capitalized, entrenched someplace else. They have their own website,
I think we should make them come to us, explain themselves.
Get off the sidewalk.
So is that a motion to bring them in?
Motion to table this one.
I'll second.
And so this is just for number 6, or do you want
Well,
I would say all three.
All three.
for delivery buds in general? So a motion to table agenda items 6, 7, and 8. And request that delivery buds join us for the next meeting. Again, acknowledging that it'll be a month from now. So someone seconded that, right?
Yeah.
And let's take a vote on tabling these 3 agenda items.
Okay, we'll now take a motion take a vote on the motion that was made by David and seconded by Anton. When your name is called, please answer in favor, opposed, abstained, or not entitled. I'll declare the results of the vote. Claire Brennan.
In favor.
You. Paige Judge.
In favor.
John Keller.
In favor.
Thank you. Jason Lickman is not here. Anton Wallner.
Favor.
Thank you. Kevin O'Keefe.
In favor.
Thank you. Susan Steinberg is not here. David Lowenstein.
In favor.
Thank you. And Gerald Jones is not here. So with 6 votes in favor, the motion passes.
I'm just looking at the website we have on the screen. Best selection of cannabis from New York's licensed market via on-demand delivery. So I think the first question should be asked, is this going to be a delivery or are they going to have actual stores here?
I think they're set up as a third party. I'm a little familiar, third party now for stores that exist legally, but they're looking to get into the retail storefront business.
Just to be clear, so far, the list of applicants you guys want brought in are 10082 TH LLC, which may or may not be the same as 1004 TH LLC, and Delivery Buds. So far, that's the list, right?
That's my
Correct.
Yeah.
understanding.
Okay, all right. And just FYI, before you guys move on, please note that the one of the Delivery Buds address, 555 Second Avenue, is one avenue away from the 30th Street homeless shelter. And another one of Delivery Buds addresses, 212 East 34th. There already seems to be a smoke shop there, at least according to Google Maps.
212 Smoke Shop.
Thank you. Sorry, now we will move on to agenda item number 9 for a cannabis retail dispensary license for Midnight Moon Inc. doing business as TBD at 271 First Avenue. Yeah.
This was the one with the trifecta of public schools, that actually, if you go through a bird's eye view, it actually, the buildings touch the public school. This is the old, John, I think you know this. This is the old Stuyvesant High School building. There's 3.
Oh,
There are 3 schools in there now. Yes, exactly.
where are the cross streets?
15th, between 15th and 16th on the west side of First. And if you could go around the block, the school actually goes the entire stretch from 15th to 16th around that corner there. Down the block. Anyway, you can see from bird's eye view, they actually touch. And as I mentioned earlier, that includes a special education school, P226M.
John?
Yeah, I think if we want to make a point to OCM that we're serious about understanding what they really think about schools, this would be a perfect case to make that point on. And so I would, in other words, I think we should say, hey, wait a minute, we can't approve something unless you tell us why you're doing something like this on this particular case.
You know, the shaded area to the left, that's school.
Preschool.
Where are you looking? That's the school. That big block is the school that used to be against Stuyvesant High. Now it's 3 schools.
Okay.
ICE for short for one school, and then the high school for health professions and the special education school.
It's also close to Bellevue.
And although there's Stuyvesant Square Park too, and that's another consideration. Do we care that it's right up a block away from the park?
Yeah, whoever used the term trifecta, this was be a good case to make several points to OCM, I think. So I agree with that.
Perfect storm.
OCM doesn't say anything about park or public space as such.
But I know
I can ask it.
and I know Claire knows this. Success Academy uses that park sometimes for recreation time, the Stuyvesant Square.
Well, I would approach it also from a quality of life point of view.
Yeah. Yeah, there's open drug use in that park, according to people familiar with it. Yeah.
Yes, and it's my park day last weekend. Actually, our chair of parks had a call 911.
I know.
Yeah.
No, he told me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's illegal to smoke in parks in general, so I don't know what this location would encourage, so I am in agreement with you all on all of these points, and I guess there's no motion, but we can consider how we want to attack this, and it's either what we have been doing for the other ones, if we want to hear from them, or is this so blatant that we resolve to reject, and that's for the committee's decision.
I'm comfortable objecting.
Yeah, me too. And John, you
Provided we
probably
have the link.
know this, that's a congregation point for kids after school.
Mhm.
They don't like hanging
Yeah,
out.
no,
with
I've made my point clear. I think this is one that we should reject and use it as a case study with OCM as to, okay, tell us why this should get a license, because we're not going to give it one. We're not going to support it. I mean, that's how I would view this.
I agree.
I agree.
So is there a motion?
I agree. A motion of no, of objection.
Okay, I'll second that.
It's a motion
With-
of objection.
Is it a motion to draft it?
To object.
Object, and then we'll write it out
Figure it out after.
why.
And then ask them with those questions that we raised. Yeah.
Mhm. Or it wouldn't be asking questions, we would be saying why we're objecting to. these
Right, we're
facts.
going to say it, and we're going to say why in the world would we approve something? The way I would put it is, why in heck would we approve this? We're objecting. We reject it.
We're not approving, we're just supporting or not supporting this because we
Well,
can't.
what, you know what I used that language before, and it's good. That's right. I meant support.
So this was seconded, let's take a vote, knowing,
Maybe we should write the resolution before the vote. Just so people understand sort of what's being voted on.
that is good to me.
Okay, so a resolution of objection for new license to operate a cannabis retail dispensary for Midnight Moon Inc. doing business as TBD at 271 First Avenue. Whereas, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry.
Whereas this application was considered before the Business Affairs and Licensing Committee of Manhattan Community Board 6 on.
Can I just interrupt you? Are you looking at something? Can you, like, is there a temp, or you're just?
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I not sharing my screen properly?
No.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought I was. Brian, can you stop your screen share?
Yeah.
That may be the issue. I'm so sorry.
No.
Now can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, sorry about that. Oh, sorry. Things fall through the cracks when you're dying of consumption. All right. Today's date is October 26th, 2023. CB6 having jurisdiction of the premises in the license application process, whereas the establishment proposes to operate as a cannabis retail dispensary. I think we'll leave this out because we don't know them yet. And the notices don't require that they list it. And I guess here we could probably start listing the issues that we have with it.
It doesn't indicate the maximum hours you can hold.
Oh,
Sorry, what was that?
maximum hours that I guess the resolution template doesn't include maximum hours.
They're in the law itself, it says maximum hours you can operate are weekdays X, weekends Y. I forgot offhand what they were.
Did you memorize those?
Is that?
I mean, in the coming weeks and months, I guess I will try with the time that I can find. And I guess you guys should try to sort of go through those hundreds and hundreds of pages and try and familiarize yourselves with the points that will be most relevant to the things that you guys are considering. Again, it would have been nice if OCM gave us like a one pager. It's like, hey, community boards, this is how you do it. And nope, but so either we go without or we make it ourselves. Do you guys want to start listing here things like things that you guys object to, or? I thought I heard, whereas this location is close to
3 schools. 3 schools.
Is like, I mean, close is relative, it's back to back, or I don't know.
It's actually abutting. Again, if you pull up that photo, I want to make sure, but one wall touches the other wall as I see it from the street.
Yeah,
is abutting a school building?
that houses. That has
Yes,
3 schools,
A building with 3 schools.
the building that, yeah.
two high school, I don't want to get into detail, 2 high schools and a,
I think that
okay.
we also mentioned,
Also, a park that is known to have problems with drugs.
I think we just,
1 block away.
I don't,
Yeah,
I don't think that that's really, I think a public park is sufficient.
Was there another one? Or is this sufficient?
I mean, just thinking about that corner, because that's my block. Like, I brought up the point of Bellevue and
mhm.
like patients who go to Bellevue and then leave and loiter on the corner. I don't know if there's a way to say, I mean, we can just, yeah, Jesus.
I can stop the share and Brendan can do Brian can put up the street view again, if that's helpful.
No, I think we just want, I'm trying to figure out how to like include. I guess we could just say it again, the proposed location is across the street from a hospital.
Yeah, period.
Mhm.
Even though it's going to close, but maybe
Right.
still is.
But
Across the street or very close?
Yeah, is it,
Would you say proximate to
Beth Israel
several
is-
hospitals?
yeah, but Beth Israel is right there. Yeah, it is across the street,
it's across 15th Street or
60.
15th Street.
Do we want to consider something language which says, you know, because clearly we might find something out through further research and it's like, oh my gosh, do we want to leave this open, saying including but not? Yeah,
What did you say? Sorry.
you know, like, again, this is not.
If you guys think that you will be doing more research on this and you would prefer to pass it at November's bulk meeting, that's always a possibility, or you can just proceed to pass it now.
I was just saying, like, including but not limited to, just to keep it open
Yeah.
for any other potential issues that we don't see.
Once
I
this
think this is
resolution
such a
gets
perfect
passed, once this resolution gets passed, there's no more potential this, potential that. It is expected to be the word of the board, and if you guys want to add to it, you either have to pass a new one or an additional one.
Good point.
But I do think that what we have here is sufficient
Yeah,
enough
enough.
to,
Yeah.
even if more stuff doesn't come up, I think that we're in agreement that we want to object to this
Mhm.
applicant, so
Might you guys want to make these a little bit more, at least one of them, a little bit more explicit as to like, I think the school one probably speaks for itself, but the hospital and maybe the park one, if I were the OCM, I'd be like, what does that have to do with?
Again, you have at least one school success. Actually, Friends School probably uses it too. I mean, there are schools that use that park for, I know, success for breaks in the day. I don't know how you phrase that,
A
but
public park used by school children.
regularly used.
Used by school children from the nearby schools or something like that.
Mhm.
yeah, and I guess maybe I took away Paige's suggestion too soon, but if I mean, we all are aware of the history or what activities happen, especially in the east side park of Stuyvesant Square Park, so maybe.
The reason I included it, these people are in Albany, they're not in New York City, so they don't know what's going on here.
Yeah,
That's obvious.
How about one more whereas that just says, whereas the above mentioned factors are important but not exclusive concerns, so that we're not limiting ourselves to 1, 2, 3 being the factors for us, because there might be other things in future context.
That might
Something
work
to that.
under Jesus's nice guardrails where you don't, this is a voice of the board, but what you're saying is we recognize there's other ones, we just can't articulate them right now.
Just leave a escape
Mhm.
valve in there
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah, I think we
Okay,
can.
There were a lot of folks talking. I didn't really hear what was said.
I suggested that we put a whereas that says something to the effect of, whereas the above mentioned factors are important but not exclusive to our consideration of this.
Concern.
Yeah, something like that.
I guess kind of saying what we were saying before, like, these aren't the only issues,
Yeah,
but these are issues that we do have, so.
Whereas the following concerns,
Um,
I'm sorry, can you rephrase that again? Can you say that again?
whereas the following concerns. Whereas the following details, factors, I don't even know the right word, are important. Or
Significant.
significant, yeah, but not determinative.
Have a significant impact on the quality of life in the community.
I think that's, let's actually just wait a second and go to the 3, go back to the 3 for a second and be a little bit more specific. And then I think it might come at the bottom, like, whereas these concerns
Yeah, I thought it would be,
were brought. These concerns alone are enough to reject, but there might be
but are not all
additional
encompassing. Yeah.
factors. I
Okay,
don't-
we can come
I don't
back to
know.
that then.
I don't know.
Do we want to add reference to drug use, or is that no go?
I mean, Paige was like, there, I don't know, to give additional context into what Jesus was saying about. If it's just, I guess, yeah, the park with school children.
Yeah, because we put drug use in school children in the same sentence. I think that.
That's a concern.
Um,
A reported history, because it's not a history as in hearsay, there are reports, that over time that people could find in 311, 911 in case of last weekend. Okay.
Yeah. I think personally, I'm okay with this, even though it does paint Dinosaur Park as a bad picture, but I think it gives more context to why we are rejecting this. Anton, you felt a little wary to include that, but is this okay now?
Yeah.
The only thing about the word history, now that I look at it, history could be back in the 70s. It's almost like a recent reported recent history.
Yeah.
Mhm. Has a record of drug use? Or a reported record, or just a record? I don't know, recent histories that seems like. But I'm fine. At this point, let's just.
Yeah.
Recent reported.
That has recent reported complaints of drug use. It has recent reported
complaints.
Yeah.
Recent reported complaints of drug use.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And so with the hospital piece, is it something I'm just like, I don't. Bellevue has like substance use services. And that might be a point to.
Does Bellevue have drug use programs for
Yeah,
people that are addicts?
that treats patients with substance. I think
That's
so.
fine.
Is that?
um. That's not Bellevue, that's Rheingold, isn't it?
It's
That
Methysriel.
is real.
That's Israel.
We don't need to name them.
No.
Bakers, but.
We didn't name the
Yeah,
park either
okay.
by name.
Mhm.
Complaints, if you don't mind the previous whereas, I think a visible drug use possibly, because that's really the concern. Not being done in a building in the park.
Right, they're not coming out and.
It's a visible drug use.
And I would add the word illegal drug use, just to be,
Oh,
I want to be precise.
Yeah.
Great.
There are so many adjectives there. I wonder, do I need a comma in there somewhere? But I think we'll be okay.
Run it through grammar check.
Big Oxford comma fan, go for it.
Okay, so this one, the proposed location is across the street from a hospital that treats patients with substance abuse concerns or issues. How are people feeling about that? We should pick one of the one or the other, concerns or issues, or reword it entirely if you guys aren't happy with it.
Issues.
Challenges? That's really soft.
I heard issues, I heard challenges.
Issues.
Say issues.
Issues is good.
You know what, I'm just looking right now online, and maybe we don't have to talk about the people necessarily, but like the programs that they provide. And say something like, right, I see that it provides inpatient detoxification services and other addiction treatment services. So maybe we could say that provides addiction treatment services.
That's good.
I think that's fine, unless we want to say inpatient detoxification. That goes.
Okay, so now it will read, the proposed location is across the street from a hospital that provides addiction treatment services. I think that works. It avoids the whole issues, challenges, conundrum, and takes the focus off the people and on to the situation and puts it on the situation, I think. Yeah, I think that's an elegant solution. Thank you, Claire.
Can't believe my brain's still working. So I guess we've gone back and forth of like saying something about these issues. These three issues aren't necessarily all of the issues that might come up. And I don't know, again, we can't come back to this and say, oh, there are even more, but I do think that these three things are significant enough that I'm open.
Claire, can you say related? Because things like I say, I know those kids congregate on that corner after school, that right where that, I mean, you could say related. Because everything's going to be related to some of these issues, I think. Right? These and related concerns?
We'll have to pick another new word. Maybe we can do something like this and then make these bullet points instead of individual whereas clauses.
The factors instead of concern.
You hear that?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Nope. Whereas among the numerous factors that render this location unsuitable for a dispensary, a cannabis dispensary, Manhattan Community Board 6 is particularly concerned about that the proposed location is abutting a building that houses 3 schools, that the proposed location is 1 block away from a public park regularly used by school children that already has recent reported complaints of visible illegal drug use, that the proposed location is across the street from a hospital that provides addiction treatment services.
Take the first whereas in the bullet points out.
I'm sorry, what was that?
The first whereas on the bullet point.
Okay. Yeah, that seems to allude that there are others, potentially others, but highlighting these 3 as the noteworthy ones.
Great.
That okay, I'll have to I'll just restate this. Objects to the application. For a new license to operate a cannabis retail dispensary for Midnight Moon Inc., DBA TBD at 271 First Avenue. So objects or recommends denial of or something like that.
Does not support.
Does support.
Does not support the application. Yeah, that sounds good.
Lowercase n and new license.
I think that's how they submitted it.
Oh, really? The new?
I don't
Okay.
know.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's how it appears in the title. Sorry. I just copied it from the top of the resume. Okay, it's a little different, but this is a different process. So
Okay.
I think this was a rather successful workshopping, honestly.
It might be a template for the rest of the state.
Jesus,
Yes, I'm sorry.
can we recommend a denial? We just don't support. And that goes into the record, and it's the Office of Cannabis Management, which will take that into account which will either approve or deny the applicant's application.
I
You
think it's
can
fine.
recommend denial. It's sort of object to, does not support, recommends denial. Those are all essentially the different ways of saying the same thing. If you want, I can easily take that out. It's some may have, I mean, some may have quibbles about like does not support stronger or softer than objects to or recommends denial. I think they all kind of say the same thing. So if you don't want that in there, I can easily take it out. But
I
if
think-
you,
I think it's stronger.
Strength.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Mhm. Okay. So now
Okay.
we'll.
now you guys will vote.
Mhm.
So, we'll now take a vote on a resolution of objection to a cannabis retail dispensary license for Midnight Moon Inc. doing business as TBD at 271 First Avenue. When your name is called, please answer in favor, opposed, abstained, or not entitled. I'll declare the results of the vote. Claire Brennan,
In favor.
thank you. Paige Judge,
In favor.
thank you. John Keller,
Favor.
thank you. Jason Littman is not here. Anton Mulder,
In favor?
thank you. Kevin O'Keefe,
In favor.
thank you. Susan Steinberg is not here. David Lowenstein.
In favor.
Thank you. And Gerald Jones is not here. So with 6 votes in favor, the motion passed.
Thank you. Moving on.
Nice
Next.
teamwork.
Nice teamwork, team. I love it.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Oh,
That's what
man.
they say.
Isn't that what they say?
No, I think it's good and it's clear and we can move on to number 10, cannabis retail dispensary license for Cosmic Healing Cannabis LLC, doing business as TBD at 139 East 23rd Street.
Next to the hotel.
It might be worth noting that blue awning that's like 2 doors down is a supportive housing building.
That was.
Is that Kenmare Hall?
Yeah.
Kenmore, yes.
Kenmore.
And sorry, where's the address? Which it's this? Oh, the black. Okay.
Pretty much the same address as the Manhattan School for Career Development High School. It's on 24th. I believe there's an entrance, so it's a little bit up, but it's. Wait.
That's west.
Oh, so on today. Sorry, I might have been off on that. Sorry. I thought they were down.
I think the,
If it's on the west side, this is.
Yeah, sorry.
I think the supportive
Sorry.
housing services,
Could we spin around and just check out the other side of the street?
that's a school.
Group,
Yeah,
College.
right.
yeah. 17 Lexington.
Yep.
So this is similar to the last one that Farrell to factor,
And then Gramercy Park.
Gramercy Park.
Yeah.
It's not a public park.
It will be. Sorry, so I
It's
said it out
not.
loud. Sorry, said the quiet part out loud.
That's a good point. I guess, doesn't matter that it's undergrad.
Oh, there are, the School of the Future is there. That's the one. Yeah. School of the Future. It's on 22nd. But it's on the avenue too, even though it hugs that corner of the avenue and 22nd Street.
It's on the same block.
Blocked down on Lex.
Yeah,
It's right here on this corner. It's between 22nd and 23rd. School of the Future.
that's certainly within 500 feet.
Yeah.
Typical block is 200 feet.
Yeah.
In Manhattan.
Yeah.
So is there a resolution or a motion here? And again, like our options are to bring them in if we want to, or if these factors being the supportive housing, close to two schools,
Mhm.
or on the same, across the street and on the same block as two schools, and then, excuse me, proximity to Gramercy Park. That seems like a,
This feels
I haven't-
comparable.
Yeah, I don't know if do you put, because it is now private, is that,
right,
are they gonna laugh at that? Private park, but the school should do it, right?
It's supported out,
It's a sport of having, yeah.
very proximate.
Yeah. Good for you. That as well. I would be sort of not into Gramercy, even though I would love to include it, just because they may not take it as seriously. They know it's a private park. Especially since we
We
said
also
we use
should-
public park, a description in the other one.
yeah, so we could be a little sneaky and just say park,
Yeah, we could.
and not name it, but we still need a motion
It's,
to do something.
yeah, I would say it's strong enough with the school proximity and the supportive housing.
I do too.
Yeah, that's a well-known school, so we really ought to hit that.
Yeah.
So again, I'm looking for a motion.
Can we draft another similar resolution?
If someone makes a motion to reject that,
Motion to reject
there, yeah,
this.
or whatever the language of that. Is there a second for that?
Yeah, I'll second that.
And Don seconds it. So maybe could we copy the same, what we just did, copy paste, and then we'll adjust accordingly, but bring up the template that we might have just created.
Can you guys see the draft?
Yes.
Okay, resolution of objection for a new license to operate a cannabis retail dispensary for Cosmic Healing Cannabis LLC, doing business as TBD at 139 East 23rd Street. Whereas this application was considered before bulk on today. Whereas the establishment proposes to operate as a cannabis retail dispensary. Whereas among the numerous factors that render this location unsuitable for a cannabis dispensary, Manhattan Community Board 6 is particularly concerned that, all right, what are the things that we're going to list?
So in terms of school, proposed location is, it's on the same block as School of the Future.
Less than 500 feet from.
I don't really want to get into, I want to be a little bit
Yeah.
more vague, like
Yeah.
with this one, I think, if School of the Future is between 23rd and 22nd on Lex, is that accurate? Because to me, that means that it's on the same block as a school. It's on the same block as one school and across the street, directly across the street from another school, which is Baruch.
Brian, can you throw that map up there again?
We know Baruch is across the street.
It is between
So school of the future is right here.
Yeah.
And it's here.
So that's like across the street. We're two separate,
You could hit it with a baseball.
that is close.
The next block is what I guess how OCM would look at it.
Okay. The next block.
Yeah.
For school of the future.
Yeah, they're going to look at whether the school is on the same road within 500 feet. Well, the same road.
It's not on the same road.
No,
But it's on Lex. They're both on Lex, right? Oh, no.
This address is East 23rd.
23rd.
I don't want to complicate things more, but the regs that were passed were adopted. Actually, they did change the wording a little bit. It's not the same road. It did give some allowance. It said if either building also hugs the same street. In other words, if they have an entrance on one street, but it hugs the street that, let's say, a school is on, then it still counts. It's some weird language that they put in at the very end of
I
their
think we
adoption.
Like get into.
So I agree with Claire. Let's not get into distance.
We said, I mean, abutting was very, I think we can also. I have no idea.
Should we just be specific and say this school is on 22nd, between 22nd and 23rd across the avenue?
You
I
could
think
just say the school, the proposed location is too closely located to a school. And we could name the school if you want. And they may say, well, that's a matter of opinion, but at least you've gotten your point across.
But there's an elementary and middle school on that same block, the French school.
really?
Is too
East.
closely located to two schools?
Yeah.
And isn't Baruch a school too? So, right?
Yes, though I imagine they mean K through 12, but I'm only assuming.
But.
No, I
Yeah, does it include K through 12 or,
Which one?
I mean,
Baruch or?
like, do we care that that there are 18-year-old and over students at Baruch and 18-year-olds wouldn't be able to
Yeah.
legally purchase, like, I don't know.
I actually asked this to Katie Loeb at some, I can't remember what committee meeting, I think, and she said, well, that's a gray area about whether that you should really push the point about a college, which really counts are not saying it disqualifies, but she said that's not your strongest argument.
Right, but that's not our
Schools are
only.
defined.
But she said, don't kind of forget about that and try to focus on the schools that are,
Mhm.
what I'm saying is we don't have to leave it out, but we should make it prominent.
Yeah, the legal definition.
Yeah,
of school is preschool through secondary, that
Mhm.
high school, and that's
Yeah,
it.
and actually, we have the chair of education here, so John. do you-
Yeah, Myrta is silent on it and which why I think Katie suggested we not push it, but it just says school. And I don't think OCM has clarified whether it means college or not. So I think that this is a chance to ask that question as well. I don't think the regulations clarify that any.
I have
Those
it right here. Any building structure and surrounding outdoor grounds, including entrances or exits, containing within a public or private preschool, nursery, elementary, or secondary schools. Legally defined property boundaries. So it doesn't say anything about college.
Prayer and.
Right, so I guess we can just, because this is our resolution, we can
But-
make it to include or not. Regardless, like, if it, I don't really care, I guess, I'm just thinking about.
I'd be worried that OCM would take us less seriously if we're dragging in Baruch and YU.
Yeah.
I think we have a
most
strong
kids
argument
they're
for
gonna
the
be
younger
over
kids. There's a
18,
lot of policy reasons why.
Mhm.
At 18 and up, it gets a little
That's
I
fine.
agree.
fuzzy.
I think that works for me then too.
Brian, can you stop your screen share so I can put the draft back up? All right, so what is the committee converged upon? Because the proposed location is,
Closely proximate to what, the French school.
The French American School in the same block and School of the Future.
I think we can name them in this situation.
I would just put two schools, start naming.
ECOLE with a, make sure you put the accent over the E.
what is the other school called?
I'm gonna spell it for you because I'm gonna mispronounce it. ECOLE.
École.
Yes, thank you.
École. And when the E is capital, it doesn't have to take the accent aigu.
No, the last E,
Oh, really?
the last E.
That would make it école, so that's not a word. The
Well, look it up
accent
on
aigu.
Oh, that's how they style their branding. Hold on.
That école is I lived a year in
Oh, I'm
France.
sorry. It is, they put it over the first E, that capital E.
And the école schools. Okay. The proposed location is closely proximate to the School of the Future and the école schools. Are we
This
happy
is-
with that word?
I, again, don't care, but this is like inconsistent with the last one where we
Yeah.
didn't name the schools. So
To two schools?
yeah. But thank you for the French lesson.
Yeah, that was,
Should we say secondary schools or K-12? Just to be clear. Not-
Is école secondary?
middle school, elementary, middle.
K-12.
Let's say they have preschool too.
But it might be best just to sort of to two schools.
I think that is good, and we could
Congregate living facility, is that the other one?
right, yeah, so I guess we could just keep it consistent, or if we're doing prioritization, I think the schools come first, and then, yes, like you said, Anton, so the proposed location is on the same block or one door over, I don't know, on the same block, let's go with that. As a permanent housing, as permanent, not A, but we can go back, as permanent housing for low income men and women.
You mean supportive housing?
Yeah, I guess supportive housing.
Yeah, that was starting to sound a little bit
Specific.
cancel-y.
That's a good point too. I'm on their website now.
Supportive, IVE.
Sorry.
And then finally, we could just say a park. Is. in
Does this
close
count as is in close proximity?
Mhm.
And it's Gramercy Park that you guys are referring to.
Yeah.
Okay.
That supportive housing to me is begging for a hyphen since it's modifying building. Else you're supporting supportive housing building.
Perhaps, but supportive housing is kind of a term of art in affordable housing
yeah.
parlance.
Okay.
Okay, so are these the three things that you guys want to highlight? The proposed location is closely proximate to two schools. The proposed location is on the same block as a supportive housing building. The proposed location is in close proximity to a park.
Sounds
Good for me.
Mhm.
Does not support. Okay. It would seem to be drafted, and now you guys, if you guys are all in agreement with the text, you may proceed to a vote.
Okay, let's proceed to a vote.
We'll now take a vote on a motion of objection to a cannabis retail dispensary license for Cosmic Healing Cannabis LLC, doing business as TBD at 139 East 23rd Street. Please answer in favor, oppose, abstain, or not entitled. And I'll declare the results of the vote. Claire Brennan,
In favor.
thank you. Paige Judge,
You might have lost Paige.
we'll come back.
Paige. It's late.
John Keller,
In favor.
thank you. Jason Lickman is not with us this evening. Anton Mulliner,
In favor.
Kevin O'Keefe,
In favor.
Susan Steinberg is not with us this evening. David Lowenstein,
In favor.
thank you. Gerald Jones is not with us this evening, so I'll go back. Paige Judge,
Sleep.
so I guess, well, with 5 votes in favor, the motion still passes.
Conscientious.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Next up is a cannabis retail dispensary license for Third Avenue Ace LLC, doing business as TBD at 443 Third Avenue. Pull up the map.
Across the street from
Public library.
Hicks Bay Library.
Yeah.
And
And it's within 1,000 feet of 201 East on 30th.
I believe the location already is a smoke shop. When you Google 443 Third Avenue, one of the things that comes up is something called Hot Spot Smoke Shop. It doesn't appear on Street View, but I found, let me put it in the chat, maybe you guys can get it that way.
oh yeah, if you.
I put it in the chat.
Mhm.
Brian, can you click on what I put in the chat?
Yeah.
And that's one of the questions I have too, doing the due diligence. Are any of these applicants potentially those that have been illegal and now trying to become legal? And how do we feel about that?
We don't know what the corporate entities are that are currently occupying the space as illegal shops. We don't have those names. The name, the corporate name that we were given on this form does not seem to bear any similarity to what's there, but it is a possibility.
Yeah, while we don't know the answer to that question, I think it's a good point that we shouldn't be rewarding stores that have operated illegally, but we don't know the answer in this specific case. But it might be a point we want to make to OCM at some point in another manner.
Yeah, I agree with John, and I think it could be on the questionnaire, right? We could just ask them outright if they've ever.
Perfect. Yep, exactly.
But are they gonna say that? Isn't that like perjury?
Yeah,
You know, I
exactly.
don't
If they
see
do,
any-
we'll catch them.
Right.
Obvious,
We have-
advertisement, obvious signs, they sell cannabis, it just says smoke shop.
You know what? There was one store on that stretch that was rated. Let me see if.
It looks photoshopped.
There's like a
Convenience
leaf.
spot, you've always got the leaf up there.
It's got the leaf. I think this is. That's an interesting
Can we
point.
see, can we look
I think-
inside the store? Do you have the,
Yeah,
have something?
sorry,
Do we agree that we should be rewarding?
I think that we do agree, but I also think Jesus's point of like the name, you know, like this, and it could be sneaky that they're just coming in and
Right.
trying to be completely different. It's
Yeah, it
hard
says
to.
hot. S hot.
They could, they
I
could just
see
start
that.
another LLC. It could be
Yeah,
just.
that's a good point, and.
Yeah, but
that
I
it's-
think I think the advantage of our being in the neighborhood is we could know that, because I went into a store near my house, my apartment, and asked them point blank, do you sell pot? Because see cannabis related products, and he was offended. He said, no, we obey the law. So not every smoke shop is selling this stuff. And I've been there enough to know that he's telling the truth. But everybody else, there are 3 others within a block of him that are selling the crap.
Yeah, the marketplace, about 3 blocks down.
Right, and then is it also like? There's, even if there isn't a connection between the new business and this existing business, like the new business could be benefiting or get, like, have customers who the customer base can like continue between the two
Yeah.
entities, and I don't know.
Yeah,
I think that's a good point. You know, the question is, you know, how does, something else we should ask OCM, you know, how do you view this? You know, I mean, is this shop gonna just be, you know, take over, you know, an illegal shop? It's getting late, so I'll be quiet, but I think that's a really great question to ask.
So is this one that we might want to call in next month, or? I think that this is
Yeah.
point
I-
of the.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I'm not sure.
So we'll table this,
I like it.
The motion.
motion to table,
Second,
Is anyone opposed? I'm going quickly through this. We don't have to roll call this. I think we'll table this one. And everyone's in agreement, and we'll invite them to the next one. And then I'm also like reminding us, we're not getting into it tonight, but to remember these questions that we have for OCM. And I think this one is really important, and if they ever come and visit us, they should be able to answer to that, but
I'll have it in the minutes.
that's great. Thank you. So we'll table that.
take a vote on this.
What,
We should take a vote on it.
I would, at this point, I think, yeah. Do you
check that
object?
out. Hold your peace.
Yeah, I think we're gonna just move this on, but thank you, Anton, for keeping me honest. So number 12 now, cannabis retail dispensary license for Harold Baines doing business as New York THC Company at 820 Second Avenue.
And just, you know, this is a card applicant who got one for East Harlem, but of course, he's in that same injunction limbo. So he's applying for down here, which is fine, but it is 500 feet within the Aaron School Elementary and Middle School. And within 500 feet of the Kennedy French American School and the Kennedy Japanese American School.
It's a church. Right here.
I don't know if they use it as a church. What it used
Not
to,
anymore?
well, they did with the hardware store. They may, but not as prominent as it used to be.
Right.
They may. It's the Episcopalian, I think it's national headquarters, isn't it?
So where's the actual location?
4th Street from Midtown Hardware.
So that is it.
Under the sky.
It's the old Hallmark car
Mhm.
store,
Oh, yeah.
which again is a
Mhm.
huge space.
That's an enormous space.
They're still operating.
No, there's.
Hallmark?
Their signs are still up, but
Hallmark is out of business, but this particular location is, It's
That
closed.
Hallmark is still open. I was there last week.
I was there yesterday. It's closed.
oh,
I bought a present there like a week ago.
My daughter lives around the
You
corner.
put them out of business.
Yeah.
Okay, so. I hear the proximity to the schools. The church. I think we could also, ask them to come back, or if we wanna. I don't know. The schools,
Schools are very close. Tudor City's over there. Park.
Lyceum Kennedy Japanese School.
mhm. And also the French American school there too.
where is that one?
It is.
You mean Lyceum Kennedy on 43rd Street?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's right there.
Mhm.
It's down the block from where you guys are right now. Just a
Oh.
few hundred feet.
That's what we should cover.
Well, which Kennedy? There's two. There's the French American Kennedy and the Japanese American Kennedy. That's what's in,
Lyceum Kennedy Japanese School.
yeah, but there's also,
I always see French kids coming in and out of that, and French language coming out of their mouths and posters and stuff like that. I didn't realize there was a Japanese element to that school.
it's going.
Yeah, the kids are always coming in and out, like going to recess at Tudor City Greens and stuff. And when I'm on the field, I see them sometimes.
Okay, but.
Yeah.
There we go.
Like,
There we go.
maybe it's like
Yeah,
French,
now it
and,
says French American as well, so.
Mhm. So it's like, maybe a similar thing, or two schools in the same.
Mhm. And don't forget about Aaron School Elementary and Middle,
What is it?
AARON.
45th between first and second.
45th.
Right there. Top left.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on the left, it's a little bit cut off in first part of the name.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's.
That's up 45th. And we are.
43rd.
Where are we?
43rd, 44th.
820.
So again, within 500, if we're using that as
Okay,
Listen.
someone make a motion.
a motion to reject
Non-support. No support.
of non-support.
I'll just. We can vote on this. But. I think. The rejections that we've done so far have had like numerous bullet points. So
Yeah.
this is like the school issue, which I don't disagree. Is significant. I think it is significant, but. I also wonder, and that's something that we are obviously working on and still determining,
I
but
can withdraw and go for a table.
I think that
Okay, I
maybe,
withdraw my motion
so
and
Kevin.
make a motion to table, have
Second,
the people come in,
Yeah.
show us your face.
sounds good.
second.
Thank you, John.
So we want these folks to come in next month,
Yes,
right? Add them to the list.
Can you do a roll call? Would you?
If you object to this motion, raise your hand here or on Zoom. Being none, we'll ask them to join us next time. We're on 13 now.
Next to last.
Oh, yeah, cannabis retail dispensary license for William Norgard doing business as Tweed at 155 East 55th Street.
PS 59, I think, right? Block, let's see.
Around the corner is the
Nine foot.
temple.
Yeah, PS 59 is on 56. I was just doing the math in my head trying to figure out, but isn't Central Synagogue right around there?
Yes, that's what I just said. It's right around the corner. Because that
Central
building is
Synagogue.
where I
Oh, okay.
I used
I
to
got
have
it.
a hair done in that building.
Yeah, I don't think it's 500 feet from PS 59, but it's relatively close, but I don't think it's 500 feet, but it is very close to Central Synagogue.
It looks like less than 200 feet.
And Brian just brought up a church. There's a church right there too, St. Peter's Church.
That's
Oh,
on
in the City
53rd.
Bank building. That's in the,
It's on
in the City
53rd.
Bank.
Yeah.
Proximity, but not any block. I guess, what else?
155 is, at least when I used to have my hair done there, was like sort of a mixed used apartment house. It was sort of weird. It was a regular apartment house, but on the 5th floor, there was a fancy salon.
It's in the old, what's that called? The town restaurant. Right
Oh,
there.
the Chinese restaurant is there.
That's 2 stores up.
Yeah.
Right. The scaffolding has been up there 5 years.
Wow. Still doing some point work. Crazy.
Paige, was that still on the spot or was that someplace else?
What?
Was the name of the salon the Spot?
No.
No, okay, it's
It
another
was
place.
an Italian name and it was the 5th floor. It was a very expensive one, unfortunately.
Sometimes you just gotta do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there a motion here? Do we want to bring them in, or are the places of worship enough to outright reject them?
Well, it seems to me that if they're within proximate distances of 2 houses of worship, we should have a motion of no support.
In a major public school.
Animation. Public schools are around the
Does
corner.
the synagogue have like youth groups and things like that, like different services for
I would assume
young
so.
adults at schools?
Yeah. Sunday school.
Remember, part of the OCN language is the building has to only be used as a house of worship. So is there anything else in there? Probably not.
I don't think so. I've been in there and I see any signage that said other than synagogue.
Okay, so
The Hebrew school, no.
I'll just like make my point again. This is one kind of entity that would, well, 2, because there's a school, or is the school not close enough?
Yeah, I'm just not sure. I don't think it's technically 500 feet because PS 59 is at 56th and second.
But the question is it 500 feet if you walk down the block and go around the corner, or 500 feet?
Well,
I know.
it's-
Yeah, that's why I was trying to figure it out earlier, and I just not sure. It's not. It's as you walk, it's more than 500 feet. That would be true.
But if it's as the crow flies, it's the width of 350,
Yeah.
about 200 feet.
Yeah, I'm not
It's
taking a
very
position.
close
I'm
to
just,
the synagogue.
yeah, I think the synagogue's enough, but I mean,
I did
Synagogue
go either
about
way.
200 feet.
Someone make a motion.
Motion of no support for this applicant.
So is it seconded?
I'll second it.
All right. Let's go to, or Does any-
Post office.
does anyone oppose and motion? Okay, so let's pull up the template again for this one. So objection.
So this is objection or no objection?
This is an objection.
Oops, I left part of it up here. Right, this is a resolution of objection for a new license to operate cannabis retail, a cannabis retail dispensary for William Norgard, doing business as Tweed at 155 East 55th Street. All this stuff is the same as the others, whereas among the numerous factors that render this location unsuitable for a cannabis dispensary, Manhattan Community Board 6 is particularly concerned that the proposed location is
Closely approximate to two houses of worship, or however we want to name them.
Yes, house of worship.
okay. Next,
I didn't catch the school piece. Is it far, if Anton was saying that it's around the corner, so maybe we don't include this unless people want to. I think it's weak to just include only one bullet point.
Yeah.
So
No,
To me, it's just such a large school and that those kids are just like all over the neighborhood, so experientially, it's like an important issue, so. Not necessarily on the, as the crow flies, but. I think it's one of those.
yeah, so we could say like, what's a synonym for closely proximate?
in close proximity to,
Or like in the
Nearby,
vicinity. or
nearby to a
in-
major public high school or something.
Yeah, I think. Is nearby. To a large public high school.
Yeah.
And no second bullet. Or third, sorry.
Yeah.
I think that looks good. And in the interest of time, I just wanna keep moving along, so. Is anyone, voting a different way than in favor? You can speak up now, and I should have done that. So this resolution passes committee. With everyone in favor, no one opposed, no one abstaining, and no one entitled, or not entitled. Okay. Last but not least. The 13th cannabis applicant is cannabis retail dispensary license for New York City Greens 3 or assignee doing business as TBD at 900 First Avenue.
Tutoring center here.
Right next to Kumar.
Mm.
There it is. There it is. One of these.
One isn't like a school.
Yeah, it's tutoring.
What's on the other side of the street?
The and just about the notes from the office. So.
I think we should see them though. I mean, I would move to the table and have them come in.
Seconded.
That sounds good.
Yeah, I agree. There are a lot of small businesses around there, and it'd just be interesting to see how they plan to fit in.
That sounds good. So if anyone disagrees or has to abstain or isn't entitled, you can speak up now, or else we're going to invite them next month. Okay.
Just something, measurements are to be taken in a straight line from the center of the nearest entrance of such houses of worship or the nearest point of school grounds to the center of the nearest entrance of each premises licensed and operating. So it's a straight line.
It is a straight line.
That's
But it doesn't say about the entrances or from entrance to entrance. Again, they've changed this from the
Yeah.
original.
We're not talking about this at 9:30 p.m. Anton.
They have
Thank
changed it.
you. And it changes every day too.
Just what's- yeah.
So thank you for being prepared and having done your homework. But I think that's a conversation when we get them and table,
next month.
Yeah.
next month. And I do like, now on my report, I'll waive my report, but I just want to talk about like old and new business. I think I don't have the bandwidth to talk about what we want to ask OCM at this point, but I would implore everyone to take start a list of questions, and then we can bring that back next month, because I highly doubt they'll send a representative next month. And if they do, we can if they say that they're going to bring someone, we can kind of maybe talk on the phone about strategies and how to really like get the information that we want from them. And also, not letting them skirt our questions, so I think I'm just gonna say that I did send around the questionnaire and the 3 questions, and I think that like as we move on, we really should be able to say, can you speak to these questions that we have? And as Jesus mentioned, like some of these people have already said, do you have a questionnaire? So I shared these last month, and I think they went around to everyone. I think that this is just a way to engage these applicants. And I think these are questions that are important to us without overwhelming them or kind of asking things that are Googleable, you know, so we can hopefully next time we have a little bit more time to go over the applicants individually and figure out, you know, these proximity questions. I appreciate the board office for going through that with us tonight. And I also like, we're not placing blame here, but I just want to like reiterate how amazing our board office is and that like the timing of this wasn't ideal and we've acknowledged that, but I think that we like in these 3 hours have come to a better place all together. And I think that we can, I want to talk about this a little bit, and if people, it's different than our liquor license application. But I think that our liquor license application might be a little bit too many questions for the applicants. I think giving them kind of more open-ended questions will also share their, you know, kind of dedication to the neighborhood. If someone, you know, if all three of the delivery buds people just copy and paste their answers and the answers to this questionnaire aren't suitable to us, like we could follow up then, but I would hope that businesses who really care about being in our community would like thoughtfully answer these questions and give a little bit of a longer answer to them. I don't even know the process of this, like if this is something that we do have to vote on to kind of make official. I would push back on that maybe because I don't think that this is necessarily like a question to bring to the full board and to like have their opinions on. So I think that if people have burning questions to add to this, I would welcome them, but I also don't want to have a huge discussion about it now, which is okay, like we can table this, but I also don't want to get into a place where we don't have these questions available. Like, I think that I thought about them, I think Jesus, and I talked through them a little bit, so their follow-up questions, I'm not sure, I'm just putting it out there. I think it would be awesome if we could leave here tonight and say that these are the questions that we're sending them. And it doesn't have to be called a questionnaire either, you know, it could be when the board office gets an application, and I don't want to speak for the board office, but they could just email these questions and say, can you prepare responses for us? I don't know, I welcome people's thoughts with the request that we keep it to under 20 minutes.
I agree with what you said, but can we bake in the things that came up tonight in this? Because this should be an evolving document, right? I mean, things are going to come up that we want to add to it time, but this is a good, I mean, that we don't know, good start.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, that's actually a good point. If yeah, if something comes up that we're like, whoa, we didn't even think of this, then we can definitely add to it.
And like I said, the things tonight, like if an applicant, were they running an illegal operation before they decided to go legit?
Right.
Yeah,
But that's not something that we need to add now, I don't think, right?
Oh, maybe the other point, that's something that maybe we can Google, but maybe not, yeah.
Right, well, I think that like thinking about. Yeah, and also, I don't think anyone's gonna say like, yes, I was running an illegal operation, you know, if we ask that, maybe some people are really like.
Well, I don't know, David, maybe in the minutes, there's something we brought up, I can't remember necessarily, but if we did bring it up tonight, we should obviously bake it in. If we think, right? That's
Yeah.
good. Okay.
Yeah, I think saying that this is evolving and not set in stone, is definitely I did.
I know we're in all the new business. I did have a motion earlier. I am going to table it, I guess, or waive it for now, because I think we all hopefully see what I was saying is that I like time, and I think we all need time to dive in. And that was the intention of that motion.
Mhm.
So if we all sort of understand that next time, and I second the good work of the district office, believe me, and Jesus, I didn't know that you had COVID, so all the more reason to, thank you. But we just need that 3 days in advance so that we can dive in, and a lot of these questions we had tonight, not all of them certainly would have been answered, but a few more would have been.
Yeah.
Right.
Again, we try our best to always do that. And again, one thing we learned tonight is let's, I guess, approach this from an attitude of grace, and
Mhm.
let's not assume ill intent. But I think this was, I know sometimes occasionally members will say, oh, that was a good meeting. I think you guys can actually, with honesty, say this was a good meeting. This was
I
a
think
very
that's-
productive. This is a productive meeting, and sort of more what like the meetings should be like.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if I raise my voice, John Keller, I still love you. If you're still there. It's all in good.
Oh, I'm
It's all,
here.
it's all for the community,
No,
John.
I'm, this all works.
No,
I think I think everything here, to pick up on what you just said, is evolving. And I think, as Jesus said, something that is evolving needs a lot of graciousness. And I think I think as Jesus said, I think this was a good meeting.
all's well that ends well.
Yes.
But are we, and so for now, like if a flood of applicants come in between next week or this meeting and next meeting, are we in agreement that the board office can send these 3 questions with the follow-up to the applicants? And while they invite them here?
Well, I have a question, maybe it's for you and Jesus. Is there any application that you just say, there's no way this is going to pass? Is there any filtering process before it comes to committee? Where you just say, come on, it's right next to another dispensary. There's 3 schools that are actually the same building, something crazy. Can you reject that outright, or you still have to bring it in front of Claire?
You're referring to cannabis applications. They're very, very new. So I would never presume to make any kind of decision like that without at very least talking to Claire. But that situation has not come up.
Is there something you would just say, come on, this is not worth our time?
I would always go through Claire at the very least. But for cannabis licenses, most likely they're going to, if it only takes if it's that glaringly obviously bad, it probably is worth the couple of minutes the committee can take to themselves put the kibosh on it. I would never presume to do that myself.
No, I meant with Claire's input ahead of time.
Yeah, or me neither. I wouldn't reject someone without talking to everyone, but, and with Canvas, as Jesus said, it's too new, like I'm bringing everyone in. Just because, and hopefully with more notice. Hold on, Anton, and then, but to just give some color, like there are liquor licenses that, I mean, throughout the summer, I was like, these are benign, like these don't seem, like issues, and that I think comes with experience. And I think maybe we will get to a point with the cannabis licenses that more just, or like I could use my discretion more, but I wouldn't reject or waive any cannabis.
Even if it looks laughingly, you're going to reject it for the committee. It's okay.
Yeah.
Good.
At this point.
That's what I was going to bring up. It's unlike liquor licenses, where many of them are just renewals, straight, no problem. You can waive appearances. But I think this is too new to it. Maybe a year down the road, it might be better feel for which way we would go and say, okay, this is pretty routine. We can just, they're not to come in.
Yeah, we're not.
But even liquor licenses, most of them show up, right? I mean, that's just the whole point. There was 0 attendance tonight from 13.
Okay, so I don't think we need a motion or anything, but I think we can send these questions for now. And I think also, Jesus, if you don't mind sending the question when you like re-invite the applicants that we decided to table, if you could send these questions to them and invite them
Let's see how
back.
they answer, see what kind of feedback we get from the applicant.
There's stuff in what you were saying with the adopted laws from OCM. I mean, one of them is like, if you're doing deliveries from your operation, you have to own your own vehicle. And there's a lot of applicants that are pushing back, and we don't have that capital.
Mhm.
We have to own our own vehicles, and apparently they just want to have control. Like things like that might eventually be added to the,
Mhm.
like, do you own your own vehicle? If they say no, that might be something OCM wants to know.
Mhm. Yeah.
To acknowledge, Claire, yes, we will send these out to the applicants that you guys have asked to come in. 10082 TH LLC and its partner entity, Delivery Buds, Third Avenue Ace LLC, Harold Baines, and New York City Greens III. And while we're still on a high from this stuff, if I could put in a suggestion, those of you who are more adventurous and poring over these regulations that were posted on the OCM website, you know, OCM is not going to do it for us, but if you guys maybe could put together, start drafting a one-pager or a two-pager or something of like the greatest hits that a bulk committee member needs to know, you know, obviously to be super well versed in the law, one should read the many hundreds of pages that exist of it. But for those who can't always do that or can't retain all that, maybe that would be a good project on the side for some members. I would do it myself. That's just the kind of thing that I that helps me. But honestly, with the tsunami of things that we've got to do, I would be lying if I said I could get to that anytime soon.
I'd be happy to help take that on. It's also an evolving process because the court decisions, as they come down, if something's deemed unconstitutional, that will change those regulations. Now, the whole regulations package, when the assembly is back in January, they may codify the whole thing, which will change the whole. That's a game changer where there's not going to be a lot, questions. It's a lot going on. But I would be happy to step up.
Get that started. And I don't know, Anton, do you want to work with?
Oh, let's work together.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's get this right. Yeah, just because it's going to change.
And again, that's applicable, but I think that would be helpful for everyone.
And I see the open restaurants is rearing its head again. I was called into the transportation committee on Monday to talk about it.
Mhm. So maybe.
But any
next month.
updates on just the whole closing down during the winter and regulations?
Regulations are in process and there's supposed to be public comment at the end of the year or beginning of next year. So the law is in effect, but the regulations aren't. That's the takeaway from this.
Yeah.
And it's
That'll go well.
a little bit like the OCM. And I think I copied you on the email that I sent to that committee. And my concern is that, just because they say they're going to do it by the end of the year, it may not happen. And that would put businesses at a disadvantage because they have to make a decision of putting up the whatever they want to put up on the street and how it should be built and how it can be taken down at the end of the season.
And where are they going to store it? That's what obviously restaurants want to know. Right? They don't have unlimited space to store all our outdoor structures.
Okay, thank you for bringing that up. I want to hear more next time, but if there's a motion to adjourn, I would welcome it. If you want.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Doesn't even need.
Jesus, feel better.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Paige.
Feel better, I'm helping you. Okay, so we need meeting.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you.
Yeah.